What's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever, get this, motherfuckers, episode 50.
Oh, wow.
Of the Kind of Funny Gamescast. I can't believe we made it this far.
Do we get a cake?
We don't get a cake, but we did. From iTunes themselves.
Yeah.
We won their best of 2015 podcast thing, which is really fucking cool.
In Canada.
From what I understand, Canada voted for us. So we got Canada's vote. It's iTunes.
So we're there overall.
We're there overall.
Is this publicized anywhere?
Yes, they gave us a whole thing. There was like, we get badges we can put on our artwork and stuff, so it's pretty cool.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah.
Kevin, put the badge on there.
I don't want Canada's awards.
Kevin, bring in. No, I think he's saying it counts.
Yeah, but I just don't want
Kevin,
it.
bring up the badge right now. Put the badge over my face, Kevin. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's how that feels.
Mm-hmm.
My God. We're coming up at the end of the year here. Now we're winning awards. Finally, it's all happening. I'm really excited about that.
It's been a long, not even a year for us.
Yeah.
but here we are at the top of the mountain.
So that means we have a couple episodes left in this year. And because of the way we distribute the show, there is going to be some overlap. I think next week's is the one that kind of is going to go into the next year.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it counts as both.
Early on Friday.
Early people get in 2015. Late people get it on 2016. If you want to get things early, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can get all the things early.
I can't hear any right now very well.
Why?
You got water in your ear?
No, I just feel like a little congested.
I'm very sick, and I can't hear anything.
Oh, you're very sick. Good. It's good that you're here with us.
Yeah, I had.
He was sick at the holiday party too,
Yeah,
so now he's no longer contagious. But that night, super contagious.
Yeah. So I'm.
When you were sharing drinks with him, Colin.
Bad
over.
idea.
Done.
I don't think we share drinks.
But it'll be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Get me the zinc and the vitamin C, Kevin.
Kevin,
echinacea.
Bring me a pear and a side of Nutella. Don't bring me those things, Kevin.
I went to
instead hand me that belt.
I went to Walgreens like a couple weeks ago to get echinacea, and they had no idea what I was talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know what that is either.
Echinacea is like an herbal supplement that's really good for your immune system. It's quite popular.
Hadn't shown this off yet.
Yeah, that's great.
Of course, when I beat you in the Nintendo World Champion or the Kind of Funny Nintendo World Championship on Mario Tennis, we said there needed to be a traveling championship belt, and then our good friends at Toasty Stickers, FlamingToast.com, made it for us.
They made it happen.
Yeah,
that will be mine, Greg. I hope you know.
What do you want? I'm the champion, so you can. What Let's Play do you want to take me on in next with it?
Any
Nintendo.
Nintendo Let's Play.
You're that confident.
That confident.
Mario Golf Toadstool Tour.
Let's do it.
Go fucking get it.
So, okay, what we're doing here, guys, it's a little different than our normal shows. This is a year-end wrap-up, the beginning of our year-end wrap-up extravaganza. What we're going to do is this episode is going to be a look back at all of the video games that came out this year, and we're going to review all the ones that we played in quick little synopsis-eyes. It's going to be fun.
20-point scale.
Colin has to number everything.
Colin loves numbered video game reviews the most.
So what we're going to do is topic 1 is going to be kind of the multi-platform games. So your Fallout 4s, your Metal Gear Solid 5s and whatnot.
Right.
Topic 2 is going to be PlayStation. So we're going to review all the PlayStation exclusive games, both Vita and PS4, and just kind of reviewing PlayStation's year in 2015 overall. Then Nintendo, then Xbox with a couple, the PCs and the mobile stuff. We'll add all of that into one little thing. Just because
all the shit we don't care about.
We're just not as knowledgeable about that subsection of the
Rise of the
gaming
Tomb
world.
Raider. Darb, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No,
I know some Xbox games out there, buddy.
Yeah. But then what we're going to do
I don't know anything.
Next week, so this is kind of looking back at this year. Next week, just a little hint at the future here. We're going to predict 2016. So it's going to be the same idea. First one's going to be looking at the big games of 2016. Then it's going to be predicting PlayStation, predicting Nintendo, predicting Xbox.
I like this show's idea, and I like that show's idea. And I like them so much, I say when we do it next week, we wear the same clothes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
It's almost as if we're going to record that episode right after this episode.
That sounds weird.
But that would be weird. But the episode we're not going to record today because we're going to wait until the new year so we can think and ponder on this. It's our Game of the Year episode. Porty is going crazy.
That's how he's going to get really
So we got Game of the Year coming up. So just so people are asking when it's coming, it's going to come in 2016, and it's going to come hard. What we're going to do then, it's going to be 4 topics. You're familiar with the format of the show. Topic 1 is going to be my 10 favorite games from 2015. Topic 2, Colin Moriarty's, one of the coolest dudes in video games. This will be the intro right here. Favorite games from 2015. Then the other half, the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller, his 10 favorite games. Then the final topic is going to be the Kind of Funny Game of the Year discussion. So we got some good things the next couple.
A lot of good shows, a lot of solid shows that are worth $1.
Mm-hmm. They're all worth $1. What you gonna do with that, Greg?
I'm gonna throw it on my shoulder now.
Oh, okay.
Go through all the championship belt poses.
Yeah.
Just so you remember who beat you.
Oh, I remember.
And who is
It was
the
some
kind of funny
bull-
Nintendo World Champion.
Look at Mario with his little kind of funny face on.
He knows what's up. Kevin, you ever think you'd be this close to a champion? The trending gamer? The #1 voted Canada podcast of iTunes?
We have so many awards.
It's just raining. The awards, not only the ones we make up, the ones we're actually awarded in foreign countries.
in foreign countries. Let's get right into this.
So foreign.
Let's get right into this. So let's start off with the big one, Fallout 4.
Okay.
You guys have had some time. You've platinumed it.
I did platinum it. Another trophy for my collection.
You just, man, they're just raining down on you.
I know.
What are the thoughts a couple weeks past the platinum?
Oh, well, one of my thoughts past the platinum. It was fun. It was good. It was more. It was what we wanted. A long time, coming into it, we had this conversation, right? Of like, you were talking to me and Colin about it and what we wanted out of it, and I was like, my expectation is that it will be Fallout 3 on PS4, but my hope is there'll be something there that'll blow me away, and I didn't expect that. That didn't happen. Fallout 4 is Fallout 3 for me, souped up. It dropped a lot of the mechanics and things I didn't like about it. It's my favorite Fallout of all time, but it wasn't revolutionary. You know what I mean? It didn't catch me off guard like Fallout 3 did. You know what I mean? That was like a huge event for us. Fallout 4 was a lot of fun. Loved it. But look, I was just talking about it the other day on another podcast. Looking back at it, I really only have a few handful of like, wow, and then there was this moment that happened. Like you know what I mean? Like, I think of it and I think of going there and getting things and picking locks and you know what I mean? Like, not mundane activities. They were fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed leveling up and building my character and But for me, Fallout 4 is me and this one companion I chose and then fell in love with and then banged all the time. You know what I mean? Like, that for me is like, that's the story of Fallout 4. Whereas like Fallout 3, you go down, you meet this robot. He thinks he's Thomas Jefferson. The first time you run into a super mutant or super behemoth or whatever, like those are like stand out. Oh my God, that was crazy. In Fallout 4, I do feel was more like, it was what I expected. It hit the spot, loved it, platinumed it, don't regret it. I'm super excited for DLC for it, but I'm not sitting here at all considering it for my overall game of the year.
Colin.
I played it for like 25 hours. Went out to breakfast with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about the game. He's playing it as we speak, and we both kind of agreed it's just not Fallout 3, and that's a shame because it's a good, it's a great game. I think it's a fantastic game actually, but it's the bar was set so high by its predecessors that I think that's why I just fell out of it. I just didn't feel like playing it anymore. I really barely touched it since it came out. Actually, we had the game very early. We had it in October, so I mean that's when I was really cruising through it, late October, early November. It's a great game. I just think that in hindsight, things have happened in the way Western role-playing games are made since Fallout 3 came out that makes this seem a little bit rehashed in a way. And I don't want to say I'm disappointed in it because I don't know if that's necessarily the right word. It's just that it's not quite what I wanted it to be. I was way more excited to play it than I was after 10 hours of playing it or after 20 hours of playing it. And that's why I just this year for me, as people I think have noticed, I was going through my trophies to see games I played. I've not beaten many games this year because my whole mantra now is like, I'm just going to play until I just don't feel like playing anymore. And that's kind of where I got with Fallout. I think I'll go back to it eventually for sure, but it's a game that in 25 hours, I think I've seen everything that there is to see in the game in terms of like what you could do. So
you have a sense of what it is.
Yeah. Story, of course not. But yeah, it's just not, it doesn't, I remember Fallout 3, like I was obsessed with it and I don't feel that way with Fallout 4. So it's certainly not, it hasn't lived up to my lofty expectations.
Do you think it's just at the detriment of, having Fallout 3 already? Fallout 3 was such a game changer, right? We talk about it all the time. Like that was like not out of the blue because there's preview tours and yada, 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 but it changed everything, right? So then to now jump into Fallout 4 and it's not changing everything, it's just building on what Fallout 3 does. I feel like that's more some of it's coming through of like, it's great, but I'm not like, wow, everybody, why haven't you played it? Da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, it's very popular. It's the second best-selling game in November, and it's doing extremely well, and I'm sure that they're very proud of it, and they should be. I just think that there are developers with Western role-playing games, specifically maybe even Witcher, that show what's possible in those kinds of worlds that I think that Bethesda can learn a thing or two from. That said, the game's fun. It's got a hook. It's definitely one of those games where you go in any direction and do whatever you want, and you're never tethered to anything, and I appreciate and respect the amount of freedom that the game gives you. But I really am more intrigued now with Bethesda Game Studios' ability to take the next step. And I don't I don't know that they did with Fallout 4. I mean, from the 25 hours I played of it, which I think is plenty of time to realize to have played a game and know 25 hours is more than you would spend with 95% of the games you ever play. So, I think I've seen enough to kind of have a feeling that, in hindsight, people have tweeted me like, "Are you disappointed?" And I don't know if that's the right word. It doesn't have its hooks in me at all.
Yeah.
It had its hooks in me, but like what he's saying of like they didn't do anything new. Like, right, the new thing they did was settlements, and I fucking hate them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to build a town and do this. It's clunky. It's not fun. I only did it for the trophy, and that was like such a bitch because it was like, let's manipulate the system and put down 15 clinics, and then maybe rugs work, maybe statues work. Everyone on the internet saying different things, so I'll just fucking throw this shit everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
rugs everywhere.
Rugs everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's this weird thing of like I don't want to make it sound like I'm not disappointed. Loved it. It's just not like, whoa, my hair is blown back and I can't believe what I just experienced. You know what I mean? It's totally like if you would, when we talked about it leading into it, like, what do I think it's going to be? Like, this is what I thought it was, which is great.
Yeah.
Again, totally stoked for the DLC and I'll get all that, but
yeah. So the next game we're going to talk about, Witcher 3, which kind of has a different scenario going into it than that, where with Fallout, you played Fallout 3 and loved it. So you expected something of 4.
Yeah.
Whereas Witcher, you guys didn't play 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Went fresh into 3. What are the thoughts on 3 now?
Witcher 3 is... It's this weird thing with Witcher 3, I feel like, right? Where it's that song, Love the One You're With. You know what I mean? This whole year, I was so stoked for Metal Gear's open world, in quotes, Fallout's a big open world, even Batman to extent, you know what I mean? Where it was like, I want to get lost in some worlds. I want to go in and, have progress bars and stats and this, that, and the other and build my character out the way I want to build it out. And so Witcher 3, the more you heard about it, the more we saw of it, the more we played it, it was like, I'm not a fantasy game guy. You know what I mean? It's really not the world I like to exist in, but I'm ready to drink the sand. I'm so thirsty right now. You know what I mean? So when it got there, I jumped in and put 35 hours in? I'd have to go look at the save file, right? But then when Batman came, it was like, lights out. You know what I mean? Like, and like now I sit there and every so often I'm like, maybe I'll get back to that one day, but it's going to have to be that I'm thirsty again, and there it is. Like, Witcher 3 is an amazing game, I feel. I love the fan community that's around it and how passionate they all are about it. But yeah, it was totally one of the things I was visiting. You know what I mean? So it's like I had a good time playing it and I enjoyed myself, and I totally understand why it's winning Game of the Year already, even though Colin Moriarty said it wouldn't happen. But yeah, like for me, it was like, cool, this was what I need right now, and now I don't. So now I'm on to something else.
Yeah, Witcher was the game I spent the most time with. I think I spent 50, 60, 70 hours with it. I mean, I played the hell out of that game. I didn't beat it because there's no beating it, apparently.
It beats you.
But I think that the game got really long in the tooth, and I just didn't want to play it anymore. But there's something about it, and I've said many times now, CD Projekt did themselves very proud. Definitely like appeared on the scene with this game. And really, when you put it next to Fallout 4, like, you can see where some people are upset with Fallout 4 and why you get it. I mean, Fallout 4 is not a good looking game. It's got its style, but it's, when you put it next to The Witcher 3, which is, vibrantly colored and beautifully kind of rendered. Not that maybe the wasteland should be colorful, but
the vistas and all these different things.
Yeah, there's just something about the characters and the writing and it just seemed like it was alive. I didn't seem like I was doing shit just to do it, and there was just a lot of shit to do. I think Witcher 3 is an example of a game that's way too dense, but it's a special game. I think that I understand why people love it, and unlike Fallout, which I think didn't meet my expectations, Witcher 3 like wildly exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I get that. That was the thing too. Is I remember coming into Witcher 3 and Christine, who was was so into it, she went back and played 1 and 2 again to get ready and super into it, was telling me that it's not gonna click for you, it's not gonna work. And even like, sure, I don't like the fantasy setting, but like Geralt and Triss and I'm like, I liked these characters and Ciri and stuff, and watching them play off each other, I was interested from that angle, even though it wasn't necessarily the setting I really dug. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was into that world. And like that's what I'm talking about with Fallout, right? Of like, for me in Fallout, I think back right now and I think of my companion in one specific mission where I was like, oh, that was really cool because it wasn't what I was expecting, right? Whereas like Witcher 3, it seemed like not every quest, but most quests had some twist or element to it. Like, oh my God, This guy buried his fucking aborted fetus out in the front yard, and now it's out there terrorizing the town. That's fucked up, and I didn't expect that. And then you have to make a choice, and you make a choice, and it plays out badly. And then you go on the internet or talk to Christine, who's a human Wikipedia for the game, and she tells you, no, it adds really badly over there. It's like, that's really cool. You know what I mean? Like what Colin's saying is like the world is alive, and you interact on what you think are just little side quests, but they're fully fleshed out and they're fully fucked up, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's like an example of a studio that didn't remain stagnant. And really pushed it. It's really surprising how good The Witcher is. In many different ways. I was definitely shocked by it in that respect.
Metal Gear Solid 5. Oh yeah. So I haven't played it for a while because I put it on hold when Uncharted Collection came out and a couple other things, and I've been playing those. And then a couple days ago, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna play one more episode.
Sure.
Episode? Chapter, whatever the hell it's called. And I was just, my God. How did I put this down?
It's episode, you're right.
It's so good. And I love it, and I love that it's every time I play it, I'm like, this is fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like I just have fun playing it, and it's not the Metal Gear that I wanted. We've talked about Metal Gear so much at this point, but I liked that even after putting it away for a while and then coming back to it, I still get that same rush of fuck, I love this.
Yep. Yeah, for me, that's the thing. It's my game of the year. And that, what I put in initially on launch, 120 something, or no, it was 110 hours, I remember. And then I started manipulating the clock and trying to get all these things, And again, put it down forever. And then at Extra Life picked it up with the intention of platinuming it, even though everyone online is like, you're not going to be able to. I'm like, I'll be able to do it. And like, granted, that broke me but it broke me in the fact that I was playing for 12 hours straight and making no real, like, you know what I mean? Like checking off one box rather than the 15 I needed to get to the platinum. But playing that, it was still like, man, this is fun. Like this game's so much fun. You know what I mean? Like that was one of my things. I was afraid like taking a break, like I had taken a month or two off, coming back and getting into it. Would it hook me again? Would it do this? And back into how good it felt.
I mean, the best thing about the game to me is the reward system, where just constantly you just feel like you're learning something new, and there's some new mechanic that they teach you, and you want to use it. And I want to get this weapon. I want to be able to shoot my arm and do all this weird shit. And then even when I step away from it, I come back and there's already just that one mission I played, there's like new shit that I'm doing. I'm like, fuck, yes.
I played a lot of stuff this year, and there's a lot of people who really get gameplay right, and we'll talk about them throughout this, I'm sure. But like, I don't think there's a better gameplay loop than Metal Gear Solid 5. You know what I mean? In terms of like, you come back from a mission, and now, okay, while you were gone, these biological resources, processed this way. If you're into FOBs, this is happening. Now this development is done, so you get to take this gun out and do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, fuck, this is amazing, let alone going through and trying to check everything off the maps and boxes and side ops, right? Like I'm playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate right now, which I'm late on. I'm enjoying it, but it's not as the loop isn't there in the same way. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I want to clear this entire map, and I look at it, I'm like, well, that thing's all the way over there, and my train's all the way over there, and like, how do I get over there easy? And like, well, I'll go look at what unlock this, that, or the other. And it's well, it's not unlocking the way I want to, or this, and like, why even buy that weapon if I keep upgrading this? You know what I mean? Like, whereas Metal Gear was so clearly spelled out, like here's what's happening and how it's happening, and I felt like for a long time you have an abundance of resources, right? And then by the time you have to start making those tough decisions, you've kind of taste tested everything, so you know where you want to go.
Do you see yourself platinuming it ever?
I do. I'm going to platinum Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain. It is going to be, I'm not going to do it the way I thought I was going to do it with Extra Life, which was I'm going to sit down and beat it all. No, it's like, cool, tonight let's try to S-rank this mission and get the task done, and then put it aside and come back to it. It's going to be a long play for me.
And do you think you're going to beat Syndicate?
I do think I'll beat Syndicate. Syndicate is one of those two where it's like, that's one I toy around with platinuming, because it's one of those where I like this. There's none of this multiplayer garbage in there, and I like the collectathons. You know what I mean? Like I do like that, and that's what I'm in the mood for right now. So like coming into a holiday break with it seems really good. The only thing that might stop me is that I want to go back and get all the DLC trophies for Batman, which is like doing the challenge rooms again and the Batmobiles with the different things like that. So that'll be what's competing for time, and then it's also like, well, I want to play Life is Strange, and I want to do this and I want to do that, but when I just want to fucking put on a podcast and chill out and go sync points and get treasure chests and check things off the map, just like Rise of the Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed Syndicate's great at that. And I really like the characters in that. When I beat Syndicate, which will be into the new year, we should come back and have its own topic, because I'm really, really enjoying the game.
Works for me. Have you played any more Metal Gear than just the opening mission?
No comment on Metal Gear.
Okay. Call of Duty Black Ops 3. You did a Let's Play. Did you ever get any further?
No, I never touched it. That's always going to be like a holiday game for me.
Blockbuster movie.
Typically is. Liked what I played so far, but I mean, I don't have any real comment on it other than to say that the game murdered at retail. Best-selling video game, I think, since 2013. I think I read.
Damn. That's crazy.
That's
That says
surprising,
a lot.
right? We were talking about when is the drop off? When is the drop off?
Dying Light.
Ooh.
I still say Dying Light's like the best experience I had this year. And it's one of those games where I never beat it, and I'd like to, but I don't. I saw the loop and I understand it. It's a really it reminds you of The Witcher in that it comes from a team, Techland, that never showed that they can make a game like this, and really appeared on the scene. And frankly, it's another game that makes Fallout not look very good. In its open world. I like the setting. It's like a Mediterranean kind of like Turkish kind of thing. Like you don't really see that in a lot of games. The parkour is really great and it makes sense. I remember when I first played the game, I was complaining about how you couldn't map and buttons. And then I realized like, wow, you can't map the buttons because what I want to do doesn't even make any sense in the grand scheme of things. It's a cleverly made game. And I didn't know that they had it in them.
Yeah.
And Dying Light benefited from when it was released because I think it would have been buried if it wasn't released then. But the zombie thing is kind of like tired, and I get that, and I'm fucking over it too, and like they're boring and all that kind of stuff, and I want new things for sure. That's true, but it's a fun game. You're crafting, you're exploring, you're doing side quests. The characters are like zany and weird. The story is like a cool idea. There's like a real feeling of like imminent danger in the game too when you're out at night.
Jesus. The
game's like really the day-night cycle is scary. Like you can get caught out in like way far away from where you need to be, and like you can't do anything about it.
Just
like
run.
Yeah, like you just start running because the game gets impossibly hard at night.
So it's great.
Yeah, so I think Dying Light's a fantastic game, and it was definitely like the game that I loved the most this year.
For me, it was a Fallout, like what his was with Fallout, where I put, I don't know, 15, 20 hours into it, we'll say, or whatever. And it was sort of like, I get this, and I can't believe that they did it either, like, especially being a Dead Island fan, right? And watching that series progress and whatever, that this is so good. Mirror's Edge, I thought the parkour really put me off. It just wasn't fluid, whereas this is totally not that. You feel empowered, you're running around having a great time. And it was that thing, though, of a while, and it's like, well, I can play this another 20 hours and keep going, but I understand what it is, and I like what it is, and I'm good.
Star Wars Battlefront. I have to say, one of the most fun games I've played.
Sure.
I just keep wanting to play just little chunks of
Have
it.
you played it more since
Yeah.
like when we were all into it?
Yeah,
Why
like-
haven't you not called me? Why don't you text me to play?
I don't know.
Why don't you like me? I don't understand.
I don't like people, dude. I don't like the whole having to deal with people thing.
Kevin and I were playing a whole week together. We did a whole week of the game. It was great. You could have been there.
You invited me one time, then
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to do shit with it, so I was like, I'm done. I'm just gonna keep playing by myself.
What do you got to say, Kev?
Is Tim playing online?
Are you are you doing
No, I
the
haven't
single player
played
mission?
online.
You haven't
No,
been
no,
online? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Battlefront took me totally by surprise. I'm not like let's go down the list of why I shouldn't care about this game. Not a huge Star Wars fan. I like it enough. But a great example of this is we're recording this the week Star Wars comes out. And yesterday, Christine and I were talking about what we needed to buy for dinner this week. And she goes, well, is there anything that's going to take us away from dinner this week? And I go, no, I don't think so. Let me look at the calendar. I'm like, no. Oh, Thursday we're going to see Star Wars. Like totally forgotten.
I hate you so much.
Not a huge Star Wars fan. Don't like competitive multiplayer usual. Don't play multiplayer to begin with, really, right? And I don't even play first-person shooters all that often. But when it, the more and more we saw of this game, and then when I watched Colin and Nick's Let's Play, and they were just having such a great time with it, I was like, all right. And then, yeah, sure enough, got in there. And it's the first time I've ever used Party Chat on PlayStation 4. Me and Kevin running around having a great time, being idiots, calling each other, debating what weapon. He got the jetpack. I'm like, what's it like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all these different things. It's like, we talk about it a lot on, I think, Colin and Greg Live the most of, well, it's casual, right?
Yeah.
It's not aimed at Alfredo. It's not aimed at that. And like, how's that going to play out? And da-da-da. For me, it plays out great of like, it's the kind of first-person shooter where I've put it down and haven't played it since like right before Thanksgiving, right? But I feel like if you were gonna say we're playing tonight, I'd jump back in.
Yeah.
I'd totally be in there. And
We're
ready
saying
to
about
go.
the casual thing. That's so right. Like for me, I'm very casual when it comes to video games overall, but specifically first person shooters, like that's just not my thing. Like I
Yeah.
loved Halo back in the day and I loved that stuff. But like once Call of Duty kind of took over and like there's all the perk systems and the leveling up and all that stuff, I didn't even know that. Like I don't even understand how that all works. So this with Battlefront, it's kind of a cool way for me to play where it's like, you always talk about Pokemon being like baby's first RPG. I feel like Battlefront in a lot of ways is just like it's hey, here's an easy way to introduce you to what modern first person shooters look like. And I'm like, oh fuck, I actually like this.
Yeah.
I like playing and leveling up and all that stuff. Whereas being an outsider of it before, I was like, oh, that sounds like a grind. That doesn't sound fun at all. But it's like it's not intrusive and it's cool and you do feel a sense of progression.
Sure.
And even you don't need to be good. That's the thing, is you just have fun even when you die. It's like it's not like you're out of the action forever. Like
Exactly.
kinda
You're right
pop
back in.
and-
And that's the thing is like it can go I guess spawn to spawn. One spawn you can come out and you just get your fucking teeth kicked in, and then another time you can actually post up at a good location or something. You figure out this great like place where everybody's gonna choke, and you're going. You know what I mean? Like I always felt like I was in it. Even when my team's getting decimated, I'm just happy to try to work my way towards the middle or top of the pack. Right? I'm like right there. It's like awesome. Yeah. Historically, Kevin and I are the worst people every time on our team, but when we're not, we're like, oh man, good. That was great.
And that's I love that. And it's so many people hate it because like, oh, is it worth $60 or whatever? And it's like I can't even comment on that. I don't know. Is it probably not? But like I'm having a lot of fun when I do play it, and it doesn't need a million modes for me to have fun with the modes that I'm playing.
Yeah.
So it's great, and I love that during every match, like the music will kick in, like when it's like the final like 20 kills or 50 kills or whatever it is. Like when it's close to the end, like Star Wars music starts playing, and you're just like, fuck yeah, this is so fucking Star Wars. So.
If you get 10 kills and no deaths, Watto comes out.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's some power converters on here. So Greg, this is probably just for you. Destiny: The Taken King.
Oh yeah, I had fun. You know what I mean? Destiny originally comes out last year. I play it at launch for a good number of hours, get up to 22 or whatever, which is at the time, getting close to the ceiling or whatever. And then took the weekend off. Everybody got amazing, started raiding, and I came back and I was like, well, whatever. Fell off. Everybody continues to be crazy about it. And then Taken King came out and it was like, it's a story and it's this and it's that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And like jump back in. And I only played it again for like a week. You know what I mean? Still haven't raided. I'm just running around doing all that stuff. And I was like, totally, this is fun. It's more game than it was before. And it is that thing of in a different reality where I have a normal job, I'm playing Destiny nightly and I'm going on raids and I'm having a great time. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy that kind of gameplay. I enjoy, that was my big thing with what was it? Halo, which we'll talk about when we get to Xbox, right? But when I was playing Halo with Cymer on co-op, I was like, yeah, this is all right, but like, why don't we just play Destiny? You know what I mean? Like, I'm invested in my character and my gear and my engrams and all, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm going to play that kind of game, I'd rather play that game. I'd rather play that. And Taken King does a great job of spicing stuff up and putting things in, making it more approachable. You know what I mean? Like, I keep trying to push my friend Poe to buy a PS4, and if he does, then I'm going to get him Taken King, and then we would just go off and do that because he can just jump to pretty much right where I am. We can go.
Just Cause 3.
Just Cause 3.
Have either you played any more than just the Let's Plays?
I played it like very briefly. I installed it and then I deleted it. Basically.
Yeah, I did a bunch of space. Yeah, I did a bunch of. A handful of the early missions.
Yeah, me too. I played maybe an hour and a half.
I like it more than I like Just Cause 2. Just Cause 2 came out, I remember, and Clements was like, "This game's awesome," and I was like, "Yeah," and I took it home, and I was just like, I don't like the movement system, and all this is blowing stuff up, and I'm like, whatever. There's no personality to this, but I get why people dig it. Don't get me wrong, not my kind of thing. And so the more we saw for Just Cause 3, like, of course, I hosted a panel at PAX, and they actually showed the destruction. I was like, oh, okay, this looks like it's more of Just Cause 2, but when you pop it in and like it opens with that like boom, it's like the cinematic, like they're introducing goofy characters in this, and it's fun. And it was like, oh, okay, good. Now it feels like they've taken the crazy ass gameplay and combined it with a crazy ass story, and it's like, okay, now I'm in.
Just Cause 3 reminds me of what I remember Grand Theft Auto 3 being when I first played it. I'm just like, you could do anything and it's crazy and blah blah blah, but it's like really in GTA 3 now, modern times, you look back and it's like, oh, you were pretty limited in what you could do.
Yeah.
But this, you really can do any of those dumb ideas you had, and anything could explode, and I fucking love that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think I'm gonna pick it back up. You know what I mean? I played a couple, maybe an hour. I don't even know. And it's the same thing of like, I like how they took the story and they merged it with this crazy gameplay and stuff. But it's like, for me, like for a collectathon open world, I want to do something like Assassin's Creed, where I'm clearing this off and doing that. And hey, I know I'm talking to Charles Dickens, and Charles Dickens is telling me things neat. You know what I mean?
Neat.
Shout out to Charles Dickens.
Yeah, definitely, always. Colin.
Yeah.
Lego Dimensions. Just playing Greg.
Yeah, Lego Dimensions.
You look like a fucking nerd.
I just popped it in a couple days ago to finish off my Doctor Who DLC trophies and stuff. Also to try out the Superman they gave me. Shout out to John. No, it's awesome. I mean, it's Superman. You know what I mean? Like that. So that's the thing about Lego Dimensions. Dial it all the way back to the beginning of the year when they put out the teaser trailer for it. Remember? And we were on Colin and Greg Live, and I was like, Colin's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, there's a million Toys of Life games. I don't know. I need to see more. If they put Superman or Ghostbusters in, I'm in. And then the chat was like, they teased them at the end of that trailer. I'm like, well, I'm in. Fuck. And then it was at Comic-Con where I sat down and actually got a demo from Arthur and saw the game, and the Doctor Who people were there. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh, it's the Lego game gameplay with this toy. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, what I was thinking, but I was thinking more along the lines of like that Lego, not MMO, Builder Minecraft thing that's on PC or whatever. Which isn't like the Lego game you know what I mean? Whereas this was the Lego game I knew, but it was all the different Lego games shoved together. You know what I mean? And I keep going back to like, at the Comic-Con thing I'm watching, they're putting different characters on and like their HUDs are changing and they look like the ones pulled from Lego Batman or Lego Jurassic World or whatever. I'm like, that's rad. That's really cool. And then when they came through and did the thing here and showed Back to the Future, and I'm just nerding out over and over again because it's like you're driving around Hill Valley and it's like they're playing Power of Love on repeat. And then, you in the open world that isn't even connected to, or the hub world that isn't even connected to the story, you can go between, 85, the future, and the past. And I'm like, this is, and I eventually, the developer turns to me and he's like, yes, it's as if we care. And it's like, right, you guys do, you know what I mean? And so that was when it was like fever pitch hype for me of just like, if they treat every franchise this way, then like that's fucking incredible. And then I got the game and played it, and they did. You know what I mean? And for me, it was even this weird thing of like, I don't like Scooby-Doo particularly. I don't hate him or anything. You know what I mean?
I don't have anything against.
I'm a big Scrappy-Doo fan.
Yeah.
But like Scooby-Doo's not my cup of tea. But like even his level was fun. And like it was weird to see it work in reverse too, which, we always talk about when we talk about games bringing people to different things, where I've never watched a Doctor Who before, but Doctor Who's involved in the story of Lego Dimensions, even if you just have the base pack with the 3 guys or whatever, right? And so when we went to his world and fooled around with him, I finished off and I was like, tweeted about like what Doctor Who episode should I watch, and got recommendations and watched Doctor Who on Netflix. You know what I mean? And like then I was motivated to buy the level pack, and it's this weird thing of like it's this great mix of the gameplay I love of Lego games, which you have the humor of Lego games, and then a reason now to play with Legos, if that makes sense. Because like I bought, I have the Lego Ghostbuster car over there, the Ecto 1. You know what I mean? I've never put it together because where the fuck am I going to put it in our apartment? You know what I mean? But one day I will when I have my own place, and I'm going to buy the firehouse and never unpack it and have it ready to go. But this is the perfect thing of like playing that game and okay, you start and in the first 10 minutes of it, it's like, okay, stop playing our game. The directions are on screen. Let's build your portal. And you sit there and you build and you get putting the blocks onto a base, and it's like, I haven't done this in years and this is so much fun. You know what I mean? It's so goofy and fun. And then going through and every car has its like 3 different variants. And it's like when I'm changing, I want the time machine to be a hover car. The directions pop back on screen of how to rebuild it. You don't have to, but I do it every fucking time because it's just fun to play with Legos. You know what I mean? Like it's this awesome mix that I'm like, it's for me, I've played Infinity. I like not extensively. I've played enough Infinity here and there. And then I've played Skylanders in the same respect. And this is, for me, more active, but it really just comes down to having the franchises I love. You know what I mean? A big fan of Lego Dimensions.
Good. Is Harry Potter ever going to be a thing?
Yeah, 1,000%. Okay. Not confirmed. There's this, I'll give you a link to the website. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a Lego Dimensions fan site that I was on their podcast. And he had a leaked thing of what, like this like coded thing. It looks like Harry Potter's in wave or next wave or whatever season. But yeah, of course, Harry Potter's going to be in it.
Good. Then we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
Tim, how you feeling on that bad
Biggest
boy?
disappointment of 2015, period.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so sad. We knew it was not going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be that bad.
You didn't know it would be that bad? That's always the worst when you're like, this won't work out, but...
And it's they patched it, and I tried going back, and the patch didn't really fix too much. It definitely improved the game, but it just brought that up from like horrible to like a little bit less horrible. It added Ninja Turtles, so that is a plus. I'm a big fan of Ninja Turtles.
Glad there's a silver lining to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's upsetting because like it did I try to be optimistic about stuff, and even that game, there was stuff I liked about it. It was fun playing a Tony Hawk again, and like having the music play. It felt like a Tony Hawk game, like just in tone and look and all that stuff. It's just wasn't good, and I wish it was better because that I think ruined the Tony Hawk's franchise from ever having a chance of being good again. I think that this would have been its one shot at redemption after the fucking Peripheral games.
Right. Full of technology, Tony Hawk Ride. Real quick, sorry, brickinquirer.com.
Brick Inquirer.
I know it's one of those things, the kids who run that site were listening like, no, say the name.
Yeah.
Say that.
And then Transformers Devastation, which did not disappoint me when I thought it could have. So that was both those games came out like the same, same week. And it was hard for me because I was like, I was wrong about both. But with Transformers, it was fun. It was very short, which I like. I wanted just that quick experience.
Was it full price?
No.
Okay.
No. And it was really cool. And I never thought we'd play a Transformers game that nailed the Transformers cartoon that much. Like it was really.
You kept describing it like it was like how you would play with it on the carpet. It was like ramming,
just ramming toys together, and so it's how you remember the Transformers cartoon, even though even the battles in that show were not that good.
Yeah.
But it's like they nailed the aesthetic. They had all the voices, and they nailed the stupid plot of the game, where it's like Megatron's taking over the world, and it's just like it was just throughout the whole thing, it was good. There was like a lot of nice little hints and teases at potentially a sequel, which is going in a direction that I totally would like. So that's good. And I also think that it opens the door for things like a Ninja Turtles game being made by Platinum in that style.
Nice.
That looks like the 80s cartoon. In the same way that Telltale games, you were saying a couple episodes ago, can kind of tackle games from a different perspective and make it more story based instead of like action. Like
Sure.
we can finally get a Batman game that's about Batman
Being a
instead of
detective,
just like,
having a story.
Yeah. I feel like this kind of opens up the licensed arcade games from the 90s to kind of make a return in a more modern format.
Gotcha.
Where we actually get a Turtles 80s cartoon game. So I like that a lot.
Good.
Then we got the music games, Rock Band 4 and Guitar Hero Live.
Yeah.
Both of them I've had ups and downs with.
Sure.
Both of them, when they work, I enjoy. When Guitar Hero Live works and I can get it to sync, I actually love that game. I think it's really fun, and I like how frustrated I get with it because I'm not good at it and I want to get better. And then you play the songs, and I loved that it reminded me of the old games where I didn't know a lot of the music, and then I heard it. And I'm like, I like this.
Discovery.
Yes, there's the discovery aspect. Rock Band did not have that. Rock Band was very much like, I've done this before. And it was fun doing it again for about an hour, and then you're like, all right, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to do this. And whether it's the drums or the guitar or whatever, it was my friend's birthday, and we kind of like all got around and had the band together doing the thing, and it was fun. And then we busted out Guitar Hero, and we had more fun with that
Really, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah.
because it was new and it was fresh.
Sure, and that's the thing for us. I feel like Colin and I in particular were stoked for Rock Band 4 when we knew it was coming, and it got here, and we set it up, and it was immediately like, our DLC's not working for some reason, even though it's supposed to. The set list packed in sucks, and this is like the exact same tour mode and rewards and story beats, and it's just like, this feels just like Rock Band, which I was over a couple years ago, and I'm not ready to jump back into. And we put it down and never picked it up again, gave it away.
Yeah.
And then Guitar Hero came, and I unboxed it one night when I was in between games I like to play, and I jumped in and I played it, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Like the Guitar Hero TV I thought was poorly explained, leading into it or stuff. So when you sat down and did GHTV, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then like the set list I remember reading on Colin and Greg Live and Colin saying, well, that's like marginally better than Rock Band. But then when you got into GHTV, you can go and like play songs that aren't on the set list, the set list, quote unquote, but are there for you to jump in and spend your credits on that you are earning in the game. I never had to give any real money, even though I'm sure if you play for years or something, you'd have to. But I was like, oh, this is cool and this is fun. But it was another thing and it was that I liked the challenge that all of a sudden it was something completely different. I had to focus on getting, these 6 buttons down or whatever. But same thing of like, put it down, and I was like, okay. And I've never picked it back up.
Yeah.
Had a good weekend with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I will randomly pick up every once in a while when I'm just like at home and I look over at the guitar and I'm like, yeah.
It's time to rock out.
But I did enjoy Guitar Hero. I think overall, Rock Band, I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever even play that again.
Yeah.
But I will play Guitar Hero again, and that's
I
the
enjoyed
nicest
Guitar
thing I
Hero
can
way
say
more than
about
Rock Band,
Batman Arkham Knight.
Batman Arkham Knight.
Thoughts?
I enjoyed Batman Arkham Knight. Another platinum this year for me. I mean, looking back on it, I feel like I talk not more negatively, but I think the things that I immediately jump to are my cons with it, right? I mean, the pros are it's beautiful, it's more Batman, it's a system of combat that if you've played before, obviously, and if you love it, you're still going to love it here. And I loved so much about it, but then when I talk about it, I always come down to I hated the fucking bat tank parts. The tank parts only. The kill 36 things strafing back and forth, like, this is stupid. This isn't Batman. Whereas driving the Batmobile, ramming cars off the road, using it to get a location, totally down with. I enjoyed that part of it, but just the forced tank parts that felt like every other mission I was getting forced to fucking take out 36 guys or whatever it was. That, and then the story for me is still not... It's not that I'm hung up on it. It's just that it was presented all wrong for Batman hardcore fans, I feel. You know what I mean? I'm not going to spoil it. I will not spoil it or whatever, but like they telegraphed way too early. You know what I mean? Like they build up to this reveal of what's happening, and I knew it. I mean, it's hard to tell how long that game was. I knew it 7 hours before, 6 hours before. Like, you know what I mean? Like literally upon this character's introduction, I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. And that sucks because he said it wasn't going to be like that, but there it was like that. But the whole problem is if they would have said from the beginning, it's this, I would have been like, oh, cool. And then my expectations would have been set correctly.
You're not waiting for a twist.
Exactly. Rather than waiting for the twist. And they do some amazing stuff in there, I feel, with like fucking with perspectives, again, not spoiling things, and screwing with your mind, and like awesome. There's like so much great there, but I'm hung up on these 2 parts that I just like, loved the game. yeah, loved the game, platinumed it. It's the first Arkham I've ever platinumed. Before I've tried, like, no, I'm going to go get the 230 Riddler trophies in Arkham City and played it for 2 seconds. Like, this sucks. I'm not doing that. Whereas in Arkham Knight, I enjoyed going around getting them. Granted, I did after the fact, before my New Game Plus playthrough with it or whatever. Enjoyed that. And then, like, I know this is always a sticky situation. I enjoy the DLC still. You know what I mean? Like, I bought the season pass. I enjoyed the back row content. I got all the trophies in that. And then, these character interstitials are short, which I expected based on how these DLC bonuses have always worked when they're like, play a fucking Harley Quinn map or whatever. You know what I mean? But what I didn't expect is that when they get me back in to do those missions for the 15, 20, 30 minutes or whatever it takes, it's then I look at that and I'm like, oh, right. And now there's a Batman v Superman Batmobile. Fuck. And there's a silver trophy attached for getting the stars. Yeah, I'll do that. Or now there's a new skin for Robin in his 60s thing. Yeah, I'll go do his challenge rooms and sure. Then I'll play it trying to get the 31. Like, there's this weird gameplay loop that I didn't expect in that, let alone the fact that now the one thing I can't comment on, hopefully it's out by now because it's supposed to be out by the end of the month, is Season of Infamy, which is the 5 supervillains, which is supposed to be a meteor pack, but I don't really know what I'm getting into that. But I'm surprised that I've come back and done so much with it, because even with Arkham City, it was like, hey, they're going to give you new challenge rooms. I'm like, fuck that, I don't care. And then it was like, here's the Harley Quinn, DLC story explanation. Okay, cool, played that, and I never went back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Colin?
I think Arkham Knight is overrated. It was one of the few games that I beat this year. I think that it's got unparalleled storytelling. I think its presentation is unparalleled. I think its gameplay is fucking boring. And I had a hard time making parallel its brilliant storytelling and its character development and all this kind of stuff that I really wanted to like and enjoyed, to like the just mash buttons kind of gameplay that I think is boring and old now. And I just don't feel like it's skill based. And I know that a lot of people disagree, and that's totally fine. But I just think, and everyone's like, well, look at all the things that were modeled after this. And I'm like, that doesn't necessarily make it good or imaginative, because it's really not. Like there's all of this tech in the game and all of these things you get that you don't really need to use. You run into the guy with the Gatling gun, you deal with him the same exact way every time. You run into the guy with the shield, you deal with him the same exact way every time. It's like, I'm just like, like you look around and there's like 6 guys, 4 of them have guns, so you use your thing to disable their guns. That's taken care of. That guy with the shield, you have to do the certain button combination to get his shield off of him. Then you punch him in the face and you knock him out. It's like, I just don't feel like I don't feel like the gameplay loop is parallel in quality to everything else in the game. And that's really disappointing to me, because I really feel like they made an exceptional game. It's just not fun. Like I really like, I just didn't find it like to be fun. I do think that Arkham Knight's side quest system especially is brilliant. I love the idea of organically running into things. You have to wait and be patient. You don't really know how to like. I especially like the Firefly ones with like when the firehouses are on fire and you have to like, you just see it in the distance and you know he's there and you have to chase him around, or the ones with the murders where you like hear the music, the opera music, and you have to like go and investigate them and stuff. Like I think there's a lot of really clever stuff in there, but like every time I had a fight, I was like, Jesus, like I'm like, this isn't. There's got to be, it's something better than this that I really feel is more skill based. I know a lot of people like vehemently disagree with me out there, but I just don't feel like it's that clever anymore. And this game suffered for the same reason Fallout 4 suffered. Like this isn't new anymore. Arkham Asylum and to a lesser extent Arkham City were really, really resonated with me because they were so different. And now I want to see them do something again. And like, the Bat Tank stuff, like all these things that tried to differentiate the game from the previous 2 games or 3. I didn't play Origins, but I was just like, this is a waste. Like I found the tanks to be tedious. I found the fucking AR missions to suck. So there was like all this cool stuff in there. I love the bank, like the stuff with the bank heists and
Two-Face.
Yeah, Two-Face. And I loved like the Man-Bat shit where you had to like chase him down and like inject him with shit. Like I was like, this is so cool. Like I would rather just watch this, like than have to do the same fights over and over and over again. I just the lack of boss fights in the game especially, I think was, I know that some people didn't really like the boss fights. I know some people found them tedious, I think in City specifically, if I remember correctly. Right? Maybe it was even Arkham Asylum. I can't even remember anymore. The boss fights I'm thinking of, like Mr. Freeze, I think was one of them.
Mr. Freeze was Arkham City.
Yeah. Like, so I know that some people didn't like that kind of stuff, but I think it like adds a little bit of imagination to the game and a little bit of like some difference and some nuance that I don't think was there. So Arkham Knight, I think, is like a game that just exists, and I know that Rocksteady can do better than that. That's my opinion. I know it's not a popular opinion, so calm down out there, but that's how I feel about it.
So moving on to your game of the forever, Mad Max.
Mad Max. You want to talk about a game that does have great gameplay? Like, and this is the brilliance of Mad Max and why I want more people to enjoy it. I know people out there have played it. Is that it's really dynamic because it has that like button mashy blah 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 Batman stuff that is like really not very fun. But I think the car combat's actually like what's really cool about it. The idea of like chasing down caravans and using all of these weapons at your disposal, like the spikes on your wheels and like your grappling hooks and all sorts of shit. It like really does capture the essence of like Mad Max car combat. It's a collectathon and a clearathon. It's an Ubisoft game, even though it's not a Ubisoft game. So it's like, it's like very Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, huge map, territories. You like whittle them down, get rid of these towers, find these guys, kill this trade route, take over this compound. It's very Far Cry. But I think that there's something really cool about that world. And I will say again, with the exception of maybe Journey, I don't think a desert has ever looked better in a video game ever than it looked in Mad Max. I just feel like that world and its desolation, its destruction, its hopelessness, I think it was captured beautifully in that game. I think Avalanche deserves a lot of credit. I think Avalanche is getting a lot of shit maybe for just cause from some people. People are forgetting that Avalanche also made Mad Max, and I think it's a pretty special game. We play it up, or I play it up as being like this fantastic over the top game. I think it's just a really rock solid game. And if you're into just checking boxes, and that's like why a lot of us play games. I think that's why people play Assassin's Creed. We were talking about that before.
That's exactly
I think
why I'm playing it.
That's why I play Far Cry, and I fucking love Far Cry. I can't wait for Far Cry Primal. I think the idea of just seeing progress beyond just the storyline is really quite satisfying. So to have all of these things in Mad Max that you can do or not do, in addition to the storyline, the side quest, finding caches of goods and diaries and looking at the world before it was destroyed and learning a little bit about Max himself. I think Mad Max is one of those games that really, I think, surprised some people that really went into it with an open mind. And I don't want to say a lot of people didn't go into it with an open mind. I think a lot of people just didn't go into it at all. And that was one of the things that I think was really disappointing, because I think that's really one of the better games of the year.
That was, for historical sake, that was the one that came out on the same day as Metal Gear.
Yeah.
And so it was like a lot of people went the other way.
Yeah. Rise of the Tomb Raider, same issue. Life is Strange. Did any of you play it?
I played episode 1, enjoyed it, thought it was interesting, and was looking forward to the rest. But they all kept coming, and I was like, got to the Colin point of view where I was like, I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah.
And so now I heard amazing things. Christine loved it. Alexa loves it. Like, I'm stoked this break. By the time you see this, maybe I've already done it. Like, to go through and play all of them.
Yeah,
you know
I wanted to. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
it looks right up my
It's definitely an awesome story from that one episode, like where they set it up. You're like, oh shit.
Tales from the Borderlands.
One of my biggest surprise, probably my biggest surprise of the year. Like not 100%, but like one of my biggest surprises of the year, and the fact of like it got announced, and I remember going, what the fuck? You know what I mean? What a weird pick. Like I've played all the Borderlands, right? And I've never been like, this is such a rich world. I can't wait to have a story told in it. And like, you're just fucking shooting psychos in the head and running around. And like, how's Telltale gonna put a game? The whole thing is collecting guns and shooting. Why would this be interesting? And then I downloaded it, ignored it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it was like I was having we had like a rough day at work, and I was really fucking shot, and I sat down, nothing I actually wanted to play, like it wasn't hitting the spot, and I saw that, I was like, I'll give this a shot, and 2 hours later, like I laughed out loud a bunch during that. I loved the characters, the performance, the story's interesting, and every time an episode came, that happened. And there's just so many fucking like, there's moments in that as far as dialogue and storytelling that I'll like never forget, like Loaderbot, like, to be honest, it's a mixed bag. I mean, like, that's like the funniest shit ever. And then Gortys and all this different stuff. It was like, man, like, talk about out of left field. You know what I mean? Like, I had zero interest in that game for real. And then it was like, okay, well, I'll try it. And here we are.
Yeah. Evolve happened this year. Mortal Kombat X.
You're just gonna skip over, do Evolve dirty.
I don't know. Do you have anything more to add?
A sad story for Evolve that I think was predictable. You know what I mean? We played it at events. I had great time. Every time I sat down, it was the monster, and I was playing with my friends in one room. I was like, this is awesome. And I'm like, I'll never do this when it comes out. Like, no. You know what I mean? Like, because there's way too much, like, it's the antithesis in terms of like casual to hardcore that Star Wars is, right? You guys could call me at any point and be like, I'm gonna play Star Wars. I'm like, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't, depending on my day. But Evolve, it's like, I'm really good at being a trapper, but you've never played before, so I need to heal. You know what I mean? It's like I'm getting to like MMO range where I want a really good squad to go out and roll in. Not to mention, it just doesn't work. Like, The reason Left 4 Dead worked so well, I felt, was the fact that, hey, you guys want to jump online and just shoot fucking zombies tonight? Like, you don't even have to pick up whatever gun you want. Don't worry about it. Have fun. Whereas this one is all about communication and collaboration. How are we going to make this work? And da-da-da. And it's a new IP, and it's this weird thing. And it came out and it just didn't do anything.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat X. Did you guys play it all?
No.
We did a Let's Play or two on it, and I played a couple times just outside of that. But Mortal Kombat's never really been my thing.
Yeah.
But people like it.
Good.
Big fans like it. Hunter Pence, big fan of Mortal Kombat
Good.
X.
I'm glad people like it.
Mega Man Legacy Collection. Got to give a shout out to that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of games released, in terms of gameplay, no game came out this year that has better gameplay than the games on that collection. But we've not even close.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen these games many times, so there's nothing really new to say about them. I mean, it was a great collection. It's cheap. The challenges are good. It's funny watching people just get eviscerated by that game. They just don't know, Kevin. You know what I mean? They don't understand. They don't know. They don't know what it is for a game to really challenge you, like really challenge you. You have to be patient and play the game the way it's meant to be played. I think the challenges were a nice little addition. They're fucking hard. Some of them are extremely hard. It's cool that you can watch the replays of the people that are on the leaderboard, so you can try to replicate what they're doing and kind of get new strategies and new skills, whatever. And I'll give myself a shout out because my Moriarty's test will be in the 3DS version of the game.
Yay.
Expanding the vast library.
Exactly. Oh, it's needed. Final game, Rainbow Six Siege.
I've been hearing really bad things about it. I don't know. It's super anecdotal because I've only talked to a few people about it, but everyone I've talked to or like heard anecdotal stuff and don't like it. Like I don't know. It surprised me because we played it when we were at GameSpot.
Yeah.
And I don't play multiplayer games. I definitely don't play team based games. But I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't see what could have been wrong with it. Other than maybe like technical problems that we were having, like matchmaking and stuff like that, which I assume is cleaned up. So I don't know what you guys have heard about it, but I haven't heard the most positive things about it.
My whole thing is that I've heard nothing about it. It feels like you could tell me that the beta was released. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I've seen Alfredo tweet about it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. I've seen Alfredo tweet about it. Like there doesn't seem to be this giant presence to it of like Rainbow Six is out because people love Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We remember those days of playing Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six 3 was as I've said many times, I fucking love that game. Love it. Yeah. It was my most played original Xbox game, and the game that introduced me to Xbox Live. This is 2003, I guess. 2003, 2004. Fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, impeccable game. But it's just not so much for me anymore.
Yeah, but even with Siege though, I remember when we were at IGN, like that was the talk of E3 when it was first announced. And,
because you get excited for it and it becomes this thing.
I think it won Game of the Show at E3.
Did it?
That year. I think so. I think it did.
I don't know why I said it like that. Like, I can't believe it. Then I'm like,
yeah, no, because I remember it.
I just remember The Witcher kept winning. The game never came the fuck out.
All right. Moving on.
I'm moving on
to PlayStation.
Yeah.
You guys might have a thing or two to say about this. So
Sure.
We're kind of reviewing the year of PlayStation.
Exclusives.
Gotcha. Yes. Let's start with the Vita. All right?
Okay.
The only two games I have on the list that I could find were Danganronpa, Another Episode, Ultra Despair Girls, and Persona 4 Dancing All Night.
Ah, yes.
Did I miss anything?
I mean, I have some games on my list, but nothing major here. No, nothing major. Yeah, there weren't. I mean, there were many more exclusives.
There's many games, yeah.
Or games that were on PS3 as well.
Well, the big thing is PC games that finally made their way over or whatever. That's where it gets sticky. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you're talking about like straight up PlayStation.
Yeah, or just whatever it
exclusives.
meant to you guys this year. Like, what did you play on
What
your
it
Vita?
meant to me. Oh, okay. That's a different question.
Danganronpa, I played it for 10 hours or so. It's still in my Vita. I mess with it every so often because I'm trying to like get everything in the game because I would like to platinum it. It's weird. It's a weird game. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking with this game. I mean, we know what Kodaka and those guys were thinking. They wanted a stepping stone to Danganronpa 3, and I don't think they were ready for it yet. So they made a weird, quirky third-person shooter. And it's bizarre. It's a bizarre game. It's for Danganronpa fans very strictly. If you've not played Danganronpa 1 and 2, you will not enjoy this game. You'll not even understand it, especially the first one. But it's weird. It's definitely a fucking weird, grisly. The thing about the game that really stood out to me is it's fucking really violent. And that's saying something because Danganronpa is a violent game. It's a very violent game. It's about kids killing kids, and it's very Lord of the Flies or Battle Royale kind of Hunger Games kind of thing. I mean, it's like that's what it's about. So this game is like over the top in kind of the gore, but the gore is like the blood's pink and stuff. It's not like scary in any way. So I enjoyed it. But I have not seen enough to really like render a final verdict on it. I think people are a little lukewarm on it. It's just because it's not Danganronpa, and we'll get more of that, this coming year.
The Bear's back. Montezuma.
Monokuma. Yeah.
Monokuma.
Montezuma's Revenge. You talking about like, I'm looking through my trophies and like you want to talk about this was the year Vita I think fully did move into being the indie station. You know what I mean? That was a joke thrown around forever about it. But yeah, Persona was like the big tentpole event. Still waiting on volume. But it's an indie, you know what I mean? But like looking through like the things I played that stand out because there was tons of stuff I played. We traveled so much this year, right? But I'm looking at it like Titan Souls. That stood out for me. That was a lot of fun. That was a great run and, exciting to play there. Super Meat Boy finally came out. I was playing Rallycopters for longer than I should have. But it's like, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a fun thing. 3/4 Home I played it on Vita, and when I actually sat down and did it with headphones, had a great time. Farming Simulator came out. Super Time Force Ultra. The one I want to give a shout out to that I think we talked about was Actual Sunlight. Have I ever talked about that on the show? Actual Sunlight is one of those where I'm not sure 100% its story, and I should probably look it up because I talk about it every so often when we talk about Vita. But before this trip to Chicago, I went on the store on my Vita and I was looking for something.
Oh, you did talk about
I
this,
missed or whatever. And it's this game where you play as a suicidal person or whatever, and like from their perspective, and it's like basically all text over like a very 16-bit looking out or whatever layout of the game or whatever. And that was something that touched me. You know what I mean? Because it was just something interesting. It's that. What can you do with games and what kind of stories can you tell and how can you speak to your audience in a very direct way? And that's what happened. And so like that was awesome. And like, I think Vita, it's this JRPG machine that has all these different things. I'm playing
Chrono Trigger
on it right now. There's all these different things of like, this is the year where I used my Vita very, very differently. You know what I mean? Leading up to this, I feel like I would download a PS1 Classic to have it or whatever, do this or blah, 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 get the indies there. But I was like, Freedom Wars, this is what I want to play, or I was this next big Vita game that was supposed to be like the savior of Vita. Whereas this year, it was for me, it was Persona, Dancing All Night, which I got and was cool to have, but I maybe I'll platinum it, but it's like kind of repetitive for me right now, and I don't know if I'll get back to it. Whereas like there's all these other little things I keep popping into and doing, and I'm more stoked. I mean, like what I'm super super stoked about, and I'm keep putting it off, is finally playing Bastion on Vita because that's where I'm gonna platinum Bastion because I love Bastion, loved it when I reviewed it back on 360, when it was an Xbox Live game. Now that it's finally here, it's been on PS4 forever, and I jumped on and played it that first night, and I was like, this is it, and it's Bastion, it's great. I want it on Vita because with headphones on a plane and like there's so much content to that game and jumping around and making the missions tougher on yourself to get this to do that. Like I'm super super excited to get lost in that. But similar to like how Colin's always talking about Persona 4 Gold and like letting that sit there and always be there for him on his Vita, right? That's what I'm gonna do with Bastion. Like I don't want to rush it. I could go tonight while Christine watches YouTube videos. I could sit next to her and play Bastion, but I'm not going to. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a few games written down here. I want to definitely give a shout out to 3/4 Home. I think that's actually one of the best games I played this year, and that game was extraordinarily emotional and really resonated with me on a storytelling level. It's really about a girl that loses touch with her family, and it's really fucking sad. It was just a really sad game. I just sat in my bed one night and played it. Very similar to Journey in that respect, where I'm not going to play it again, and I thought it was really awesome. It's definitely one of my favorite games of the year, and it's on Vita, and it's perfect on Vita. I played a game called Heroes of Loot on Vita a lot. It's actually a mobile game, and I played it on Vita, and it's just a very simple dungeon crawler, and I actually had a lot of fun with it. It's just like you die, and you start in the beginning, you die, you start in the beginning. It just had a weird kind of loop. And you already brought up Titan Souls, which I thought was really fun. The final game that on Vita that I played a lot this year that a lot of people didn't touch is Zeo Drifter from Renegade Kid, which is a Metroidvania game, but it's like a really small Metroidvania game. You can beat it in like 2 hours. It's just like you're on different planets and you like jump from planet to planet, find things you need, and go back to the planets. And very simple aesthetic and very simple gameplay, but really, really fun game. One of the more enjoyable games I actually played this year, I think. So I like that a lot. Zeo Drifter's on PS4, I think, as well. You can play it on 3DS. I think it's on Wii U. It's on PC. So you can play it in a lot of different places. But I played it on Vita, and I thought it was a lot of fun. So yeah. Oh, and Shovel Knight, of course, came to Vita this year.
Yeah, that was my Vita game of the year.
Yeah,
faux show. My God, I'm happy I waited to play Shovel Knight because when it first came out on just the Wii U, it just for some reason it felt wrong to me. I didn't want that. I wanted to play that game portably. And you can't really do that with the Wii U. You kind of can.
You played it on 3DS when it came out too.
No, I know, but the 3DS, I don't like the buttons are too small. Had the same problem with the Vita. Like it was the whole thing. But then I was like, I want the screen. I have the OLED. Like I'm very particular when it comes to this shit. So I was very happy I played it on Vita, and it made my Vita worth buying. Like I loved the shit out of that game. So Colin was right. PS4, moving the fuck on to the big leagues. Bloodborne
was hot. I mean, I played Bloodborne for 20 plus hours. I didn't beat it. I didn't get very far in it. I really enjoyed it. I wish that we didn't have to travel around when it came out because I was really in it. I mean, I used to sit on the couch like every night for like 4 hours after everyone went to bed and just played it over and over again. I was like, I really finally get the hook. It's a little quicker. It's a little more arcadey, just a little bit than Dark Souls or Demon Souls. And that's what I needed. Because I think Dark Souls and Demon Souls are just so stiff and boring. Like I'm not into those games at all. And I tried. I mean, I took a whole week off to play Dark Souls last year. Just to see if I can get back into it. I'm like, I just don't like it. Bloodborne struck me the same way for about 5 hours, but I just stuck with it because it has the essence of something I really want to understand. I want to understand what it is about these games. Everyone's like, you love Dark Souls, you love Demon Souls, and I'm, because I like hard games and I like old games, and this game's definitely got the soul of an old game. Pardon the pun, but I just didn't get it. I just was like, why? Like it's hard because it doesn't control well. It's hard because it's like not fair sometimes. Like that's not fun to me. Like the essence of the games that I like that were hard, but they were fair. Mega Man's fair. Castlevania's fair. Ninja Gaiden's fair. These are fair games. If you're bad at them, it's your fault. And
I think learn to get better.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes, a lot of times in Dark Souls, for instance, it is your fault. In Bloodborne, it is your fault. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's totally unreasonable for you to expect that you should have known that this dragon was going to fly over this bridge and fucking kill you out of nowhere, like just unfucking
To be
announced.
fair, Mega Man is like that too. It's a trial and error. Then the dragon comes.
Yeah, but they're different. I think in that respect, the design's a little different, whatever. But I understand why people love those games. I just wanted to understand more of it. And Bloodborne was the game where I was really like, yeah, I get it. It's one of those games in my mind where I'd love to get back to, but who knows if I ever will. The DLC came out, and it's supposed to be excellent. I'm proud that Sony understood. This was a mea culpa to the fan base because I know that they understood that they fucked up with Demon Souls and that they could have locked this entire series down. Dark Souls would have never happened if they knew what they had, and they just didn't know. And this was them saying, like, we have to fix this for our fans, because it was PlayStation fans that made Dark Souls a thing with Demon Souls. Without them, Dark Souls would have never been a thing. So I think that was a business blunder on their part. I think Bloodborne was making that better, and I don't think we've seen the last of Bloodborne because I think it was like, it sold some PS4s, people liked it, it did well, it did respectably, and I think that it gives a lot of credibility to the console.
There was also Order 1886.
Well,
yep.
I was surprised when it went on sale this past Thanksgiving break when it was $10 or whatever. The number of people who bought it were like, "This wasn't. What is that? What are you
For
talking
$10,
about?"
I think it's totally worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing. I'm like, well, you're not understanding the proposition here and the differences, and also its expectations. You know what I mean? When people were building it up to be this big AAA game, that it was going to be this, PlayStation 4 exclusive. This is like this is what it can do kind of thing. It had different expectations, whereas then everybody shat on it for an entire year, and then it came out for $10, and everybody's like, "This isn't bad."
Rocket League.
Rocket League's hot, man.
Yeah.
Rocket League's arguably the best game of the year, pound for pound. We saw that coming a mile away. I mean, it was so obvious that game was going to be big when people finally started getting it in their hands. I think it was a stroke of genius for them to release it for free, and I think that I think it's like 8 million players or something like that. It's like an insane success for a company that small. I mean, they're rolling in it now. So it's just a great game, just a really good game.
Yeah, I think out of all the games this year, it's the one that I wish that I spent more time with.
Sure.
Because I did the Let's Play and that was it. Like I never really played it outside of that, but I feel like I'd like that a lot.
You still could, and that's the thing I was talking to with people. Just like, it was similar for us. It's the travel schedule. We talked about Rocket League forever. When it finally got there, we had like 3 days, and then we went to some event.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I was just getting fucking bludgeoned to death in matches. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, this is my time. But then I was talking to kids who were talking about playing it local or, playing with their friends. And it's like, okay, like there is still life to it, even if you're terrible like me. Or if you want to go be amazing like Freddie Wong and try to go pro and all this different stuff.
Is he really good?
Oh, dude, he's addicted to Rocket League. He loves Rocket League. And that's the thing is like, that was what was crazy for us, you know what I mean? Like Colin coming back that first time after seeing it at PSX last year, was that right? And telling me like, Dunham's game is actually really good. And I'm like, oh, right. Well, what is it again? He's like, oh, your car is playing soccer. I'm like, that sounds not good at all. And then you play it, and you're like, oh shit, this is good. And then just watch it slowly build and build and build to where it is this phenomenon. Everyone is talking about it. You're like, yeah, congratulations to you, Psyonix.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm proud of them. I'm really proud of them.
Until Dawn.
Another unexpected jam.
Awesome.
Big fan.
Awesome game.
Good Lord, such a
Awesome
big fan.
game.
You were like, Tim, you need to play this game, and you were fucking right, Colin.
No, I knew you'd love it.
So good. I enjoyed it, and you say so much about like it's what Telltale games should be, and like
and Quantic too.
I get that. It's like you play it, and it's just like it's a story. You're not really playing a game. Like you could watch a YouTube video of that game, and it's the same exact experience.
But it isn't. But I mean, you're not getting like the don't move. You know, you make the choice real quick, and like there's so much to it. I understand what you're saying.
Yes, I'm just saying I don't think there's enough of that. Like that's the equivalent of like a 3D movie where it's just like there's a little extra shit. Yeah, you missed that, but like
Sure.
really,
You're gonna get the story out of it, but not the experience.
Yeah, and it's like to me, it's the equivalent of if the videos were annotated and you can like
Sure.
click through.
Yeah, it's choose your own
thing.
adventure. Yeah.
But that's not a knock on it. It's fun. It was great, and like it, it doesn't need to be a game. Like there doesn't need to be like you lose or whatever. Like I like that it was exactly.
Well, that was
what
what's
it
so
was.
fun to sit down with you. Like I sat down with Christine and streamed it, and we beat it in one go. And she'd already played it, but she wanted to watch me play it again and see the different shows. Like, that's cool. Like I hate watching games I've beaten again usually, or even playing games I've beaten. But then when you and Nick were playing it on Extra Life, like it was awesome to sit and like I knew you guys were making choices that were different than mine. I'm like, oh fuck, I can't wait to see what happens. You know what I mean? Like there is that thing to it of like, oh, what are they gonna do when this part happens? Are they gonna know to move fast here and like don't take the safe route?
And I do like that the changes affect it pretty substantially.
Sure.
Like it's not one of those like stupid like, oh well, this thing happens a little differently.
Right,
It's
right.
like looking at all the like once you beat it, you want to know, oh, what are the different things that could happen?
Yeah.
And then when you go online and look, it's like, oh shit, like things could be real different.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I really hope that we get like a proper sequel.
You will.
With like a different cast of characters.
Yeah,
you
new
will.
characters, new setting, new
I think you
everything.
will. I think Sony's smart enough to know what they have with Until Dawn. I don't think that they knew maybe before they released it. I was really shocked that it didn't have a bigger push, and I think that they were trepidatious about it. I don't think that they quite understood what they had. That game was in development and gestating for a long time, and I think that they had spent a lot of money on it. And I think they were scared, and I think there might have been a feeling that they were just trying to get it out. I don't think that they understood that it was one of the best games of the year, and maybe the strongest. In its own way, the strongest PS4 exclusive of the year. So I don't think you've seen the last of Supermassive working on that series.
I mean, I think that, when we first saw it at PSX, like that was, I don't know if that was the first time it was ever shown, but that demo of it, like you could tell watching it, and I wasn't in the room, but like I can only imagine that was powerful. It's like, oh shit, like there is
Everybody's
something
freaking
here.
out, saying go right or left.
Because
or
I do
whatever.
remember when you first see it and you see Hayden Patinata, whatever the hell, I don't know how to say it.
Panettiere, I think.
Panettiere.
Hayden Panchetta.
Exactly, the pancetta. You see this, you get this instant feeling of like, oh, this is the game this is going to be. Like it's like a licensee thing of just like, let's put actors in this, and there's no way this is actually going to be good. And then you see that demo, and it's like, all right, was that just cool because there's a crowd of people saying, like, do this, whatever, and it ended in the perfect way, and it got people hype. And it's like, all right, I didn't believe it was actually going to be good, so it wasn't until you were like, it's good, and I was like, oh shit. Like, okay.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience. I remember we got it early. I sat down and played it. I beat it in like a day and a half. I was like, this is awesome. Exactly what I need. It's unique. And like I said, it out Telltale's Telltale, but it really out Quantic Dream's Quantic Dream, which is going to resonate a lot more for PlayStation fans, because I think that Quantic, if they can, swallow their pride a little bit, can probably learn a thing or two about how to make a game by watching and playing Until Dawn, especially after Beyond Two Souls, which was, not very good.
Uncharted Collection.
Awesome.
Oh my god, my first.
I was gonna say, for you,
dive
you're
into
the
2 and
interesting
3,
one.
and
Yeah.
holy shit. I mean, I couldn't give that game of the year because it's cheating in
Sure.
collection, but it would be like, my god, such great games,
Yeah.
so good, and I cannot wait for 4. I think them putting this out, we all knew it would happen, but I'm happy it did, because there's so many people playing it for the first time. They're just like, holy shit. My
Stoking the
friend
fire.
Curran never played an Uncharted game because he didn't have a PS3, and now he has a PS4. He's playing through them, and he's just like, how did I not fucking play these?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, they're so good. And I'm happy that I waited for the collection, because it's beautiful, man. And it's like, you play it and they don't look dated. Like, they look good. It's like, yeah, they're not as beautiful
Sure.
as some of the new games, but it's like you play them and you're like, this is great. It doesn't take you out of the experience.
Right.
And I'm happy that they did that.
Me too.
Yeah, I platinumed 1 and 2 again. I platinumed on PS3 as well. Really good reminder of just how stellar Uncharted is. Uncharted is so far ahead of so many of its contemporaries. It's not even funny, and they still are, and they still hold up. Those characters are still fantastic, and the stories are a little weird, but they're fun. It's I don't know. It's a nice reminder of what we're gonna get with Uncharted 4.
Yep.
I think
Definitely. Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
I wouldn't really count that as a PS4 game, and that came to PC last year, I think. But
Yeah.
but PS4 gamers got it this year. I played it for a couple hours. It's obtuse, but I don't have much more to say about it than that. It was a game I was really excited about.
Mm-hmm. And we got Journey Remaster this year. I didn't play
I didn't
that.
mess with
though.
that. I'll never play Journey again.
Axiom Verge.
Got a little more than halfway through it. Nick really loved it. I stopped playing because I thought it was going to be imminent on Vita, and we're still fucking waiting. It's like straight up a little ridiculous now. that the game's not available on Vita yet. It's like a little fucking obnoxious in its own way. But things happen and complications happen or whatever. But I do get a little annoyed, truth be told, when a game is promised for PS4 and Vita and you just sit for months and months and months and months just waiting. Like it's a little disappointing.
On my list, like when I've been talking about this with people, I'm like, I fully believe that Volume could be one of the best games of the year. I'm just waiting for it on Vita. I tried playing a remote play on Vita and that didn't work. So I was like, no, I'll wait. It's just, I don't mean to be a snob about it, but that's where I want to play that game and where I want to have that experience because I need stuff on the Vita when I'm on the go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just wish that people wouldn't, things happen. Tom's a friend of ours, so I'm not trying to shit on anyone. I'm not trying to shit on anyone in particular. It's just like, don't promise a game for a platform and then not release it. Like that. I guess that's kind of like, we were excited about that game for Vita. I mean, that's just real talk.
And that's the other thing too, is if it had been like a surprise later on that it's coming to Vita, maybe I would have played it on PlayStation 4 and been able to, adequately talk about it. But like when it sounded like all these games were coming out at the same time, I'm like, oh great, no big deal. Same thing with Bastion. But I had played Bastion 5 years ago, so it didn't really matter. I can sit here and tell you Bastion's awesome.
That said, I just want to say Axiom Verge for what I played is excellent.
Yeah, Nick
that's what makes it so disappointing that it's not on Vita because that's really where it belongs. I think it's where it belongs.
Final Fantasy VII Remastered just came out.
Oh,
yeah, I've been playing it for a few years. A few hours.
I haven't really built for a few years.
And a couple episodes ago, we were talking about like, what's the definitive way to play Final Fantasy, and I think this is.
It might be this way. Yeah. It might be
just the fact that you can speed up the.
Yeah,
the
that
game
shit's a little
like,
obnoxious, but you don't have to. You don't have to do it. So
Yeah,
I mean,
which is
if you want to cheat, you can cheat.
Well, no, the cheating. I don't like the. So if you hit R3, I think it is, it automatically heals all your shit and gives you full limit breaks. I don't know about that.
So you're talking about just using the left stick to move around.
Just
you don't have to
speed
use
up the game.
You don't have to use circle plus.
No.
So, I don't want to do that either.
If you hit L3, it just speeds the game up.
That I know too. I mean, these things are there in case you want to use them. I think the one cool addition is just using left analog stick to move is the same as D-pad plus circle, which is nice. For fast movement.
Yeah.
Like real-time fast movement. It's fun. I mean, it's very nostalgic. I was going back and I'm like, man, I remember when I got this. I like getting Final Fantasy VII was such an extremely seminal moment in my life because it got me. I got my PS1. I sold like almost my whole SNES collection to get it, which was a huge mistake. So there's like all these conflicting feelings about Final Fantasy. But going back and hearing the music and the characters, Cloud being so assertive as a protagonist, which is quite unusual in some Final Fantasy games, and then just a lot of RPGs
and
generally.
Cloud generally post Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, exactly. Barrett, being introduced to Barrett and Tifa and Avalanche, going on that bombing run for the first time, like the boss fights, the music, like it doesn't. We were talking about it. Will the game stand up even in pre-renders? The game looks like shit, like all of it. But the fact is that. So even like the pre-rendered backgrounds, the CG, like it all looks bad. But it's so no. The answer is no. But it didn't hold up at all. Obviously, the polygonal characters were not going to hold up. But who cares? Like it's a product of its time, and I remember how blown away I was by that game when I saw it for the first time and played it for the first time, and it just it brings back a lot of memories for me about what it was to be a PlayStation owner like early on. I remember buying Final Fantasy VII and not even realizing you needed a memory card, and like why couldn't the game save on the CD? Like this was a huge I was like, why not? Like
the hell is this?
And I remember having to like go to Toys R Us and I bought like one of those bootleg cheap memory cards.
Yeah, my memory card had a basketball on the end of it.
Yeah, I had the blue EA Sports one.
Good Lord.
So it's just there's just a lot tied. That's a loaded game because there's a lot tied to it. I don't think I'm the only one. I think that people have said before, and they're right. Final Fantasy VII made PlayStation, and before Final Fantasy VII, PS1 was out in the States for almost 2 years, actually a little over 2 years, and it came out with Battle Arena Toshinden, and there was a bunch of games like that were fine. Wild Arms is one of the great games on PS1, and that was before Final Fantasy VII. But Final Fantasy VII made it a household name and got that system into people's homes and made the JRPG genre cross over into the mainstream. And even though Final Fantasy VII is by no way, shape, or form a hardcore role-playing game, nor is it a difficult role-playing game, it is a role-playing game, and it introduced many people to what it was all about. And we should be so happy about that. I mean, it's so funny how I vacillated on Final Fantasy VII as a gaming fan and as a critic so much because I really felt like it was so vastly overrated, and I was so mad, especially with like how much attention it got compared to 9, which I think is a way better game. But the fact is it's important. It's just an important game, and it's a game that people should play. It's a perfect Christmas game. Download it.
Bust it out.
play it for a week, like
Yeah.
enjoy it. I think it's an important game for people to understand. And then you look at Final Fantasy 15 and you see where they're coming from, and when you fuse them together, then you get that CyberConnect kind of remake. You get to see exactly where they're coming from.
So looking back at PlayStation as a whole, is there anything we want to talk about reviewing
sorry.
2015?
Yeah,
Because I got to say the press conference, E3.
Oh, getting away from games because there's a few games I want to add.
Oh, go
if
for
I
it.
can.
Everybody's gone to the Rapture. We didn't talk.
Yeah,
about
everybody's gone to the
it.
Rapture.
We waited
on the list.
forever for that.
It's one of those games who was I talking to? I think I was talking to Shannon Studstill, actually, the head of Sony Santa Monica. That game was gestated by the Chinese room, but Santa Monica was the production like XDev team on it. And it was one of those games where I was like, I played almost more than halfway through it. I'm like, this is awesome. What a fucking eerie ass game that is. And then I went away, and then I came back and tried to jump back in, and I'm like,
Wait,
I have no idea
Who's
what's
that guy?
going on, what I explored already, and I didn't want to start it again. I was like, damn, like that's a weird game. And there's what we've talked about, I think, on this show, or definitely on PS I Love You, and definitely on Colin and Greg. Like there's a sordid kind of story about that game in terms of how it was made. It doesn't seem like it was a good time making that game. It doesn't seem like the Chinese room and Sony necessarily got along with each other very well. So there's a lot of, and we're just reading into that based on a letter written by one of the co-founders about why she's leaving the studio or taking a sabbatical or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So people can go read about that because it's really all conjecture. But there's so much tucked into that game when you know, like that it was probably a challenge for them to make it.
Sure.
I want to give a shout out to Helldivers, which we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah.
That was a huge surprise to a lot of people. I remember playing that game at Gamescom in 2013 maybe, and came back and I was like, this is fucking awesome. There's
And I said, why, Colin? You go, because it's really hard. I was like, fuck that then.
Yeah,
And then
and
it came out, I was like, oh, this is great. It's like
it's ridiculous.
It's like it's destiny from a different point of view. This is rad. And then it ate my save twice, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah, the game Arrowhead. The game was a little broken. I think in the beginning, but that is the hallmark of the game. It's fucking hard, and it's not hard in a way of like I got to kill these two enemies and make this jump, or whatever. It's hard of like it's comical how hard it is, and I think that's what's kind of fun about it.
Yeah,
you call down reinforcements to help you that can crush you. You set up a turret
that'll shoot
and it'll
you in the
shoot
back.
you in the back if you walk in front of it. I'm like, this is awesome. You know, this is there's no friendly fire there. You know, it's like you throw a grenade and run into it, it's gonna fucking kill you. Throw a grenade in your friend, it's gonna kill your friend. I'm like, this is awesome. This is so it's so ruthless. I think
Arrowhead, right?
Yeah, Arrowhead.
Great job.
Two games I didn't spend a lot of time with, but I want to give a shout out for our PlayStation fans out there. Tales of Asteria, I played for a few hours. And there's something wrong with it in my mind, and I just don't want to go back to it. And it's funny because I was reading a lot of NeoGAF threads, or just a specific NeoGAF thread about it, and so a lot of people agree. I'm like, this just doesn't
feel right.
Doesn't feel right. There's something off about it, and so I just didn't want it. Didn't grab me like Exilia grabbed me in Exilia 2, where I was like, I can't put this game down. There's just having played it for just a little while. I'm like, I don't quite like the combat. The world is fucking huge, but it feels empty and. So it was I want to give a shout out because I know a lot of people care about that game, but I didn't play nearly enough to have any sort of meaningful verdict on it. But I will say that my first blush reaction to the game is like, nah, I don't want to play it. Dragon Quest Heroes came out. I played that for maybe 10 or 15 hours. I really wanted to give a Musou a chance. I think we shit on these games a lot. I certainly have, and I know Greg has as well. These Omega Force, Tecmo Koei, hack and slash, mindless games. And I was like, if I'm going to get into one of these games, it's going to be with an IP I really care about. And there's few IP I care about more than I care about Dragon Quest. It's the same way people felt about when they did a Musou for Zelda.
Hyrule Warriors. Yeah.
And what I realized was like, yeah, this is fun. You know, like I was like, I get it a little bit more now. So I want to give a shout out to all my Musou fans out there because it's not a game I'll necessarily ever go back to, but I get it a little bit more now because it's just you have to care. So if you're so for Dynasty Warriors, if you care about East Asian history, then maybe you do care about Dynasty Warriors the way I care about Dragon Quest. I don't know. The final
gotta
game,
give you American Revolution heroes.
that'd be cool.
Running out there, there's Ben Franklin stabbing people in the head.
And the final game that I want to bring up that came out this year that I forgot about until I was looking at my trophies was Super Stardust Delta came out, or Ultra rather came out this year for PS4. More Stardust.
How can you go wrong?
Can't really go wrong with that, but really fun. It was one of the first games I played this year, and I really enjoyed that, so I wanted to give that a shout out as well. If you're into that, again, that twin stick kind of gameplay loop, not for everybody for sure, but and if you played Stardust once, you played it a million times.
Exactly.
But I'll play it a million times. That's it for me.
So, do you have any games, Greg?
No, I think we've covered a lot of them.
Okay, cool. So outside of games, then, like just overall PlayStation Just quickly.
They killed it.
You think they killed it?
They absolutely murdered. I mean,
Me too.
they're trending. They're doing so well with PlayStation 4 that they're benchmarking against PlayStation 2. That's an insane assertion to make publicly, and can blow up in their faces if it doesn't work out very well. But that shows a very bullish situation over at Sony with PlayStation.
I mean,
they're benchmarking against the best-selling console of all time.
We talk about this all the time too. I mean, the numbers right now at the end of the year, but going into the year, right, we were so concerned that there weren't exclusives. Remember, and you were all like, "There's got to be something in the fall we don't know about that they're going to surprise us with," and there wasn't. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? They've done such a good job of pairing themselves with Destiny, with Star Wars, with these things where it's like this will move the unit and also make you think of us in that way. It's crazy to see these numbers keep coming in and them keep winning, NPD numbers off this.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. And yeah, we were wrong. I mean, or I was wrong. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I really assumed they would suffer more from a lack of first party content than they did. And the crazy thing about PS4 is that there's a dichotomy drawn between the lack of really meaningful exclusives and the sales of the console. There's just not that many exclusives that you have to play on the console. There's not. I mean, I think Killzone's a fun game. A lot of people don't like it. Obviously, Knack is forgettable. I think Second Son was a little disappointing, although its DLC I think was really great. Bloodborne and Until Dawn I think are really meaningful exclusives that people should play. The Uncharted Collection is fun, but when you really think back to PS3 and how poorly PS3 did out the gate, yet it had Motorstorm and it had Resistance and it had Heavenly Sword and it had, a bunch of games, Folklore. Like there were games early on in the first 18 months that were pretty good, and it didn't matter. So it really goes to show, and I wonder what kind of information they're garnering at Sony about, like, do we even need to invest this heavily in exclusive games? Because we haven't so far. We've sold well over 30 million units now in 2 years, with a dearth of exclusives. And now the exclusives are going to start to come out. So we're going to see with Uncharted, especially, which is going to be one of the biggest exclusives on the console ever. And then we'll see, later in the year with Horizon, which I think is going to be a big, strong new IP for them. If this helps become something additive on that Venn diagram of where the games fit, because they're murdering making third-party games exclusive to them, and they've made smart partnerships that make a lot of sense. When I saw Xbox get into bed with Bethesda with Fallout, I was like, that's a really shrewd move. Tomb Raider didn't work out so well for them. Call of Duty was obviously kind of stolen by Sony, but so to speak. But the game still sold best on Xbox One according to MPD, not counting bundles. But Battlefront ended up being ingenious for them to get. Destiny.
It's been a long play for them.
Yeah,
They've been from the beginning.
Yeah,
with
from
that, from the leaked Activision documents.
Yeah, and PS4. They were at the PS4 reveal, right? So it's like they were there from the very beginning, and I don't know that I would have made the same bet in that same position and been like, that we're doing this MMO shooter from the guys that made Halo, where they're not with Halo anymore, and they're with Activision, but Activision, who knows how much attention they're going to give to them because they have Call of Duty and all this stuff, and are they afraid of kind of cannibalizing themselves? And that was probably the shrewdest fucking move I've ever that they've made so far this year, is to just be with them to make Destiny a de facto exclusive, even though the sales aren't necessarily dramatically better. It's just looked at as a console that plays Destiny. So I think that they've certainly learned a lot of lessons, and I wonder if they're going to be able to keep the momentum going. I mean, they're definitely killing their competition, but the game's certainly not over yet.
Yeah, and we'll see what this PlayStation VR does.
Yeah, and I think all the conferences this year, I think anytime there was any position for Sony to have a press conference and announce things, they killed it. I think they did great. And even if some of them weren't, like, people are probably going to bitch about PlayStation Experience, but then even then, like, that's just a press conference that the other guys didn't have. So all that's just extra. But whenever it was like everyone's doing their shit, Sony fucking killed it, man. Like, they came out swinging. Shenmue, Final Fantasy VII, like that Last Guardian, like that press conference is unfuckwithable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, E3 was great. PSX, not so much.
Moving on, Nintendo. So we'll look into this. We're going to start off with the 3DS. Now I'm going to be honest. There's the vast library, not at its best this year. I look at this list of games. We got Yokai Watch, we got Zelda Triforce Heroes, Majora's Mask 3D, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, Codename Steam. None of those scream to me.
Codename Steam was this year.
Yokai Watch.
I think it was.
I believe you. I'm just
I might be wrong about that. But.
I was surprised. Like, Yokai Watch out of that, I was like, they have something huge with Yokai Watch, and it just apparently didn't pan out very well for them in the West. I haven't seen any numbers, but I was reading some anecdotal stuff saying like the game was kind of soft, and that really shocked me because I remember identifying that game a couple of years ago based on media create numbers in Japan. I was like, this game's gonna be fucking huge.
In Japan, it is huge.
It's massive.
Like, if you look at it, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean,
but it's not translated.
I played a bit of it, and it's not for me. For sure. It is, I always talk about the fact that I love Pokemon so much, but if I were to play Pokemon for the first time now as an adult, I'm not sure if I would.
Okay.
But then with Yokai Watch, it's like I am having that experience. I'm like, this is not for me. But it is also way more dumbed down than Pokemon is, so I don't think that's a fair assessment. But it's an even more kiddie Pokemon game, and that's not what I want. I want a more adult Pokemon game. But I'm sure there's people out there that do love it, but like I wonder if it's that same, because Pokemon's still kicking. It's not like that just went away,
Yeah,
like the cartoons and all that, like the little kids love Pokemon.
Yeah,
still.
they're gonna do something with Pokemon. They have something up their sleeves with that game or that franchise. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
It's a big hit mobile game.
3DS is in a weird space. I mean, it's the predecessor of a fantastic handheld. And in its own right, has a fantastic library. I just think it's lost a little something along the way, and they're in the weird space in between too. The system, the handheld's a little weak, and the games that are coming out on it might not be resonating with the audience the way that the DS resonated with people for a very long time. But it suffers from the same problem that the Wii U suffers from. It's just they have to do this kind of token support of it until they're ready to show the NX, which I think will replace both of these. And I know that they say that they'll live next to each other. The thing is they've said this before with GBA, GameCube, and DS. I mean, the three pillars, that was a huge thing for them, and that didn't really pan out.
Yeah.
So, especially for GBA. I feel it's sad to see the 3DS die, but dying, but it had to happen. I mean, the same thing's happening to Vita in a much more pronounced way. 3DS came out, almost 5 years ago. So it's not good. It has had
definitely. It did have a good run. It does have a vast library of amazing games. But like I look at this and Majora's Mask, obviously it's a classic, and like, I'm happy that it came out on 3DS. I was surprised at its announcement. Like everyone, it's one of those things where every time there's a Nintendo Direct, you go on NeoGAF and everyone's like, Majora's Mask is coming to 3DS. Like I'm predicting it. And it's like, you never really think it was going to be announced, and it was, and it's like that's cool that it's there.
Yeah, it was great for the new generation to be able to play it.
Xenoblade Chronicles, like supposedly people love that game. I never really got into it, and
a lot of people have been busting balls about about Xenoblade. Like, why aren't you playing Xenoblade? Why aren't you playing Xenoblade? I'm like, well, I don't really want to play the Wii U, and people are like, this game's right up your fucking alley, and I'm like, I'm sure it is, but it's just not what I want. That's not the direction I want to go in right now. It's to Greg's point. I kind of feel like. The point we've made, not this time, but you want your trophies, or you want to just enjoy an ecosystem, or you want to do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, I just don't want to like stop everything for this 150-hour fucking role playing game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like this momentum killer. But I've watched and really been reading a lot about Xenoblade, and people really love it. They have something. It was Monolith makes that game, right? They have something really cool with that. I think that they have to treat it with a little more care and make sure that they segue it over to NX to make sure that people are really seeing it in a very noticeable way, because it's certainly not pushing hardware. And so the very limited amount of people that have 3DS and more pronounced Wii U might not be enjoying it.
Well, the biggest problem with the 3DS is you need the new 3DS to play it. So it's like even more splintered,
Yeah.
So I couldn't even play it if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's too bad. I still have the original 3DS myself, the little tiny one.
Wow, that's ridiculous. So yeah,
but you dust it off once every 2 years to play something.
The last time I played a game in any length, well, actually, I dusted off to play some virtual console games this year. I really wanted to play. I wanted to play Metroid for some reason. I haven't played it in a long time, so I dusted off to play that, and that was fun. But
Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds was the last like native game I like really like went balls into. Yeah, it was
well,
great.
I mean, after that, just off the top of my head, there wasn't too many like big games you need to play. Like there was Pokemon, the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, and like there's a handful of things here and there.
Bravely, I think Bravely Second's gonna be awesome.
Yep.
That comes out next year. I think March. So there's a few.
Yeah, the 3DS I personally think had a pretty soft year, but the Wii U, I mean, it had a lot of games. Not all of them the highest quality, but like I'm surprised to look at this list and be like, oh shit, we didn't get too many that I loved though. But like Splatoon. Like people really enjoy it. I had fun with it for what I played. It didn't capture me in that same way of like, this is my fucking game of the year.
Sure.
But it's fun and it's cool. And I love that we got a new Nintendo IP that people genuinely care about. The fact that, we see the Smash ballot and people talking about who they want in Smash, and of Nintendo characters, the Inklings are up there for what people want. And that's, I think, a good sign. Like new Nintendo IP is a good thing overall.
I agree, especially they're not churning out meaningful IP to the degree that they were a long time ago. So to see something like Splatoon really hit, and inspire people to buy the system, which they did, not in huge numbers, but even my brother, calling me when Splatoon came out, I was like, I finally picked up a Wii U. Splatoon is awesome. And I was
Did
like,
you pick it up for Splatoon?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's cool. That's great. It's, again, not a game for me. I think the game's really clever, but it's not a game I would want to play.
You'd think you'd like it based on your Mario Sunshine ridiculousness.
Yeah, but then I have to play with other people, and it's a whole, it's a whole
Yeah,
thing.
no, I get that.
It's a whole thing.
But yeah, it's cool seeing like Game Awards, like seeing it win Best Shooter. It's like weird thing, and I'm sure there's some weird politics involved in that, but like it's cool. I like that. At least it's it's awarding something different.
I'm sure the politics are that like half of or not half, I guess, but you know what I mean. A majority voted for this, another majority voted for this, and then there was enough people who voted for Splatoon that those two that canceled out each other.
Yeah, well, good for Splatoon.
Yeah, no, that's how democracy works, right, Colin?
Yeah, I guess.
Fast Racing Neo just came out like last week on the eShop, and it's awesome. It's F-Zero, but it's not F-Zero. But it's Wipeout, but it's not Wipeout, and it's fun. It's really, really fast. You don't like the name. I love the name because it is what that game is. It is just a generic fast racing game.
Yeah, but if we could have sat down for 20 minutes, we can come up with 10 better names than Fast Racing Neo.
Like
for
Fast
that
Racing X, maybe.
Neo goes fast.
Neo goes fast. That's even a better name.
Neo goes fast.
Put your pair in the slot.
I like the name. I officially like the name Neo goes fast. Put your pair in the slot. Not so. I don't know what that means, but I don't know if I want to know.
Kirby and the Rainbow Curse just came and went. There was a lot of games like that this year on the Wii U. That's just like Yoshi's Woolly World,
right,
which took 10,000 years to come out, and it finally did. And it was one of those things where if that game came out in March, I think I would have liked it a lot more.
Sure.
Than it
Too
coming
much going
out.
on.
Yeah, it's just too much going on when it came out that I couldn't enjoy it the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
I love Yoshi games are my favorite, but it's not 10 out of 10. It is very 7 out of 10 ish. So that was disappointing, but we did get a lot of that stuff just consistently throughout the year. We got okay Nintendo games.
Mario Tennis,
another example. Okay Nintendo games.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, based on like the way people feel about that Animal Crossing game and Mario Tennis, like I wouldn't even say they were okay. It seems like people think those games are bad, and that was what really surprised me, because you don't really see bad Nintendo games.
And that's the thing, is it's like this year I think we saw a new level of, like you were saying, they're preparing for the NX. So it was there was a lot more than I remembered, but that's just because a lot of it was subpar to okay. So like the Yoshi and Kirby are the okay ones, and then Mario Tennis and Animal Crossing, whatever the hell it's called, the board game Amiibo Festival. It's like they just did that. They just like put that. That's not a real Animal Crossing game,
No, definitely not.
And then there was other things like that too. There with Mario Party 10, which could have been awesome. The Mario Party with the gamepad and being able to do all this cool stuff, and then you can't. None of that is a thing. Like you can use it as Bowser in really, really, really bad mini games. It's like, damn. Like they could have got it right with Mario Party. They could have made it a kind of greatest hits of all the Mario Party stuff and really kind of won people back. And it being the 10th one, like that's an event. But it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Their names on all these games, and this was an unusual year to watch for me. Yeah.
Fatal Frame, Made in the Blackwater, finally coming over here. I didn't play that one.
You're missing that.
the big one. I'm waiting for the big one.
The big one's coming.
Okay.
Devil's Third.
Oh, well, then there was Devil's Third.
Another terrible game.
My thing is,
apparently I didn't play it.
The Wii U for me is completely three things. Two of them are DLC. Mario Kart DLC, which was awesome, and how you should do DLC.
Yeah.
Give us nice, substantial thing. Like the DLC offered for Mario Kart was essentially like each one of them combined would be half of what Mario Kart had total for super cheap. And it gives you cool things. It finally made Mario Kart what it should be, which is just Smash Bros. Here's Link stuff, here's F-Zero stuff, here's Animal Crossing
and
shit. It's just, and Baby Park. Yes. So I loved that. And I loved that it was just like kind of like, we got the first bit last year, but it ended this year. And then Smash Bros, which is just the damn gift that keeps on giving. And I love that it's still not over. As of recording this, we're 2 days away from the final direct announcing the last batch of DLC, and that excites me, man. That means
that's really cool.
There's just more to come, and like I wouldn't have thought that when they had the last Smash Direct before the game came out and announced Mewtwo. I was like, ooh, this is a good sign that we know there's DLC, but it's a bad sign that we're only getting one character shown. Like I was like, I wish that it was more like there's this many more to come, because I thought that meant maybe we'll get one after that and then call it a day. But we've seen consistent like characters, you know, and levels, and I love that they're really using Smash Bros as a way to promote their other games. Like when Mario Maker came out, there was the Mario Maker level added and stuff like that, and it's cool that they're consistently doing this. And then Mario Maker is the Nintendo game of the year,
yeah.
And they're also doing the strategy with the DLC of just like kind of like consistently adding to the game and putting all these things out. There's the Mercedes-Benz event that they added. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I love that they can do that. I love that it's just like there's now these platforms for them to go on. And I hope that this is experimenting for the NX.
X gonna give it to you. No, Mario Maker. I mean, that was one of the things that was amazing. It's like, oh, you guys want checkpoints? Sure, we'll give you that in like a month and a half. Here you go. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
And I mean, Mario Maker alone has reminded me why I love video games and shown the capabilities of video games. And seeing what like Dan Reichert and Patrick Klepek do, it's awesome and it's hilarious. And to see the level of challenge and like to see someone try to outwit it, it's awesome. And it's just this like, it just keeps getting better to me. And that game just keeps giving, and there's keeps being more challenging things or more interesting things. And my favorite thing is that it makes me think about Mario differently, and it teaches me things about how the gameplay works that I would have never thought about. Like the way that you can use turtle shells and the way that you can throw items in the air and catch them and do specific things. I'm like, that's built into the gameplay, and people are now using those as challenges that Nintendo would never do.
Sure.
Because that's too complex of a mechanic. But when people are doing that, knowing that you know how to do that, it's really cool. I wish you'd play it more, Colin.
No.
Like it a lot.
When it comes to NX, Con will play it.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I mean, reviewing Nintendo, it was a very year filled with a couple shining moments.
Sure.
And I think that overall it is the transition year, and that's really the nicest thing I can say about it. There was a lot of stuff, but the good stuff is good, and I think it leads in a good direction. Like I said,
for them to give it to you next year,
they're going to give it to me. They're going to give it to me hard.
You better hope so.
I'm hoping. I really am.
Everything rides on this. Everything rides on it, and we all know it.
And I think Smash Bros is going to be a really important thing with NX. Like they've invested so much in this Wii U Smash Bros that like it needs to somehow be compatible with the next one. And I think that they know that, and I think that they're going to continue. Like I'm speaking early because I don't know what they're doing at this final direct, but like I hope that there's at least some messaging of something. Like I'm pretty sure we're gonna get
about NX.
No, not about NX, but just in terms of like Smash isn't done. Like we might not be getting
Smash
more characters or whatever, but like it's a big deal because it's Sakurai doing it, and like for forever it's always, this is gonna be his last Smash. This is gonna be his last Smash, and this potentially is his last message to the people about this game. And I'm just interested in the wording and how they kind of phrase it. They're not going to talk about the NX, but it's going to be interesting to see just what Smash Bros means to him and like where he stands with it.
Sure.
If he's going to say like he's done and that's it, or if he's going to be like, I'm not done.
Yo, fuck you, I ain't done.
Yeah, which would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is going to be cards on the table time for them. It's going to be fun to see what they have planned between their mobile initiatives and of course the NX. But I the rumors are circulating, and we're learning more about the NX. So with patents and with stuff coming out of Foxconn and how many they want to sell and when they're going to start manufacturing and stuff, it all indicates a fall 2016 release date. But I don't know if they were going to be ready that quickly.
They will be.
Final topic: Xbox 2015. Going down the games, Halo 5. Just that's it.
I totally it's just like, and I'm not, it's just playing it. It was like, right, this is Halo, and this is why I'm not a Halo fan. Like, I just felt it was, I'm playing co-op with Christine, you know what I mean? We got halfway through the game in a night, thought it was sterile, forgettable. I understand why people love it. I played multiplayer for a couple hours. I was like, all right, yeah, cool. But it's just like, it's time to admit that I'm just not a Halo fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm on the other side of that completely, where it's like, I played a bit of the single player, and it's just like, this is why I like Halo.
And that's great. I'm glad you like it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, there was a couple things that it's not Halo. I've talked about this before, but the lack of the couch co-op, I'm like, well, fuck, that took away my Halo experience.
Right.
And so I was upset about that. I'm not so much an online guy, so like multiplayer doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, the single player overall, not the best story. So it was a forgettable Halo game, but not, I wouldn't say it.
Just for me. Just the
Yeah.
Greg Miller.
Mm.
Not as a critic. Just as Greg Miller playing games over there. Wanting to play Destiny instead of this.
Yeah.
Because Destiny's more fun and progressive.
Gears Remastered. Or Ultimate Edition.
Right.
Whatever you call it.
Played it for Let's Plays with Alfredo. Was like, oh, cool. Never went back to it. I was never. I mean, I'm one of the guys who appreciates what Gears does. I think I've played every Gears. Like, I mean, we did the Gears 3 thing at IGN. I definitely played Gears 2. Gears 1, I didn't have it 1, but I played it at a friend's house. So I'm like, yeah, more Gears, cool. And it was like, but it's not like something that drew me back where I felt like I needed to go play it.
Yeah, the only Gears game I played, I beat 1 back in the day.
Yeah.
And then seeing this was like, oh shit,
Looks way
pretty.
better. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you play it at all?
Not remastered, no.
But that's another one kind of seemed like it came and went. But I guess that's just with all the remasters.
Yeah,
and ports
remaster.
and
It's just
stuff.
like it's going to speak to an audience, right? And then we'll see what happens.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Woo-wee! Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was a game, Tim. A game that everyone should play.
Mm-hmm.
You can't because it's not on every console. And it didn't really sell well because it's fall ate its lunch. But yeah, great game, man. That's another, we were talking about it earlier in this show, like the gameplay loops, right? Like that game has a great gameplay loop of like, I've got to a new area and the mission is on the other side of the area, but fuck, I see a coin chest over there and I'm going to take this side mission and that just unlocked all these new things and oh crap, I'm close to it. And then like 2 hours later, you've 100% of the area and you're like, now let's go do the story quest and let's move on there. Beautiful, fun. It's a game that I feel like at the end kind of does the video game thing I hate where it's like, let's give you some of the most annoying parts to remember us by. And it's like, ugh. And like the thing, of course, is that if I was into achievements and wanted 1,000% that game or 100,000 point it, I would then have gone back and replayed the stuff I missed, the caves and whatnot, and it wouldn't be my last impression of the game wouldn't have been these 3 corridors of let's fight fucking every enemy, even though fighting's not the fun part of this game. So I wouldn't have that. But for me right now, as somebody who's like, well, I'm done now, let's finish this experience. That's where it ends for me. But I can't say enough nice things about that game. Great game, really fun. It's the original Tomb Raider amplified. So if you didn't like, I thought the story was really forgettable in the original Tomb Raider. If I had a ghost witch or something at the end, if I remember correctly, this one in 3 years will be the same way of like, I remember
on what happened.
there was this guy and these people and they wanted that, and then at the end they were totally setting up for a third, so that's what they did, you know.
Rare Replay. I want to give a shout out to that, just as being one of the best compilation games I've ever played. It made me care about games I don't care about, and you know, we did a Let's Play series where we kind of played through all of them, even a lot of the really early, really shitty games. But it was fun that they presented it in a way that made me want to try them out and want to appreciate them for what they are. I loved the whole theater look of it, and I loved all the modes that they added, the challenge modes and the I forgot what they were called, but like maybe they were replays. The ones where you go in and like it just gives you here's what you should play this game for. Like Battletoads, you play it and they gave you that speeder bike part like just right away and got you straight into it. I really wish that other compilations would have that level of love and care put into them.
Yeah, I was really impressed by them. I was glad to hear that it sold better than they thought, beat their projections, and yeah, there was a lot of respect put into that collection, and did bring back some obscure games, a lot of obscure games, and definitely educated people on who Rare is and celebrated a history that I think is kind of lost to the ages now. Maybe Microsoft's tip of the hat that Rare is not really alive anymore. At least that was kind of what I walked away from. It's like, here's what Rare was and evolve into what they're going to be, and they really haven't been Rare in a long time anyway. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. There's definitely a lot of respect put in, a lot of love. I agree, and happy to see some of those old games shine again. Yeah.
iDarb.
Oh,
iDarb's great.
iDarb was fantastic.
Really good.
That was a really fun time when we were all playing that.
Yeah. It's one of those, I feel like there's a lot of multiplayer games like that with that like kind of aesthetic, like Towerfall and Brawlhalla. There's things like that. They're just like, hey, just pick up and play. It's a 2D fucking game. But they're fun. And like, I think iDarb specifically added that just insanity level.
Yeah, exactly.
Of like, why
crazy ass announcer, the hashtag's going over, one of us figures out how to dash before the rest of us, and then you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's just like, again, it's why we play games. It's fun.
Yeah.
So we should bust that one out.
Yeah, totally.
At some point, do a second Let's Play of it. Or third Let's Play.
We did a bunch actually.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Oh, very pretty, very
very, very pretty game. Very awesome game. I'm happy there's a definitive version coming out and all that. I like that Xbox had that, because I feel like forever Xbox was kind of missing that level game. You think Xbox, you definitely think Forza and Halo and Gears and stuff.
You wanted that artisanal platformer, and Ori gave it to you in space.
Gave it to me good.
Yeah.
gave it to
Did
me
you play a lot?
I didn't. I still haven't beat it.
Okay.
But they do the thing that I fucking hate, where it's like I got far into it, but not far enough to once they announced like the definitive edition, where I was like, oh, I should just probably wait. And
Sure.
play that one. But yeah, I mean, I love it, and I love that it felt different than games like that. Like it's a Metroidvania kind of game, but it doesn't feel that way. It's not so much just like the physics of it are weird, where you jump and you have to kind of like go the slingshotting type stuff that you have to do with the jumps.
Yeah.
I like when I'm playing a game, and it's kind of like Guitar Hero, where I'm playing, I'm like, I'm not familiar with this. This feels different. I'm not good at it. Oh, I'm getting better at it. Oh, now I can do this. Now I can just kind of zip through the thing.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, just the first 15 minutes of that game is emotional as shit. It's like a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And it's like anything that I can relate to a Pixar movie, I'm into. So big fan of my boy Ori. And then Forza Motorsport happened, which wouldn't matter to any of us except for the fact that there was the Fast and Furious DLC. And that shit was awesome. Like, man, like that, they really nailed that. Like, it felt like Fast and Furious. They added a whole bunch of dumb shit and just VO and like stupid songs over, like just play it on repeat. And like, they took a game and made me care about it. Like,
Yeah, that's good.
and it was really fun. It was like, it's a fun 2 hours that you just, in and out. And it made me realize how much I want a Fast and Furious Telltale game.
Oh,
And one day.
you got to pitch it to him next time we're on Job.
Yeah. So I mean, that's it kind of for the Xbox
Fuck
games.
that. State of Decay, Year 1 Survival Edition. Come on, son. That was great. That guy, State of Decay on Xbox 360/PC back in the day. McCaffrey and I did a bunch of Let's Plays leading into it. I was super into it, and it was that thing. Yeah, it came out at E3. And came back exhausted and tried to play, and I two ships in the night. So when it finally came here, man, that was it. Like, that's the most I played my Xbox One. You know what I mean? Like in a condensed period of like, there was a week where I shut down, and that's all I played. And as soon as I was done with something, I was back out there to fill my rucksacks and clear off the map and go get this.
Them rucksacks, yeah.
Got to do it. You don't understand, man. I got to make my settlement big.
You've got to.
Got to. So that was a great one. I'm really excited to see what Undead Labs does next.
So what are your thoughts on Xbox overall in terms of like conferences and announcements and just their year?
They had really good
2015?
conferences.
Yeah.
They had really good announcements. I mean, we go back to the fact, at E3, Colin has said it before. I think I agree with him that the biggest announcement was the backwards compatibility, right? Like, they're there. Like, it's what I love about Xbox right now is that it's weird, right? Because we're PlayStation fans. Obviously, that's where our history lies. That's where our coverage lies. We've covered that beat for so long. But you cheer for Xbox because they are the underdogs now, and they keep making the right moves. They keep coming out and saying the right things. They keep making business decisions that are based on, is this good for games? You know what I mean? That's what Phil Spencer has been all about when Aaron Greenberg was here with you guys and listened to that podcast. You know what I mean? Like, they're cognizant of where their missteps were and how they need to fix them and go forward. And it seems like it's Everest, and are they going to be able to get up that mountain? Because PlayStation continues now to dominate out there, and it's one of those things where I think in the old days it was so easy in the console war to sit around and pick a side and be like, fuck those other guys, da 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 da. And now everybody has these spokespeople, these voices, these faces that you connect with. And it's like, I want Phil Spencer to win. I want him to have I want him to be as successful as Shuhei Yoshida. I want these things to be out there and have it where like Rise of the Tomb Raider comes out and is an amazing game and sells really well. You know what I mean? Because it sucks when it doesn't, because then people aren't playing it, this, that, and the other. And will Crystal Dynamics ever recover from like all these different things? It's like, it's just, everybody's human now. And that's awesome. That's what I love about it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone is human now. So you sit there and it's like, man, Nintendo's year wasn't great, but we know people over there that are all great, Corey and Reggie and all these different, it's like, I want them to do well. Same thing here. I think Xbox made all the right calls, all the right decisions, and it didn't pay off in the monumental, they're back on top, and now it's this race where they're going to, trade the lead back and forth. I don't know what it looks like next year. Now the next year is like, if they stick to their messaging of games, and Sony does this PlayStation VR thing, let's say that doesn't work out, what does that do to Xbox?
Yeah, definitely interesting. So just kind of adding into this topic, we also got PC games and mobile games. Hold on. Shit's going crazy right now.
Shit's going crazy on your mobile device.
Yeah, it is.
Wake me when all your mobile device games come to Vita in 4 years.
So for PC, we had, at least on my list, there's Her and Emily is Away. There's
Story?
a whole bunch. Yes, Her Story. And
I was like, Her was a great movie with the Joaquin Phoenix that I really dug.
Yeah, so I didn't play Her Story.
Have you seen that yet, Colin? No. That is a movie you need to see. It's about AI and technology and future. No, this is one of the ones where I'm doing the stress thing to tell you have to watch it. Good haircut, by the way.
So did you play Her Story?
No.
So it was just you?
Yeah, it was Nick and I, right?
I don't remember.
It wasn't you. Then it was Nick and I. Yes. And I think one of the only Let's Plays we've ever taken down and then didn't put back up.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the audio got all
The
fucked
audio
up
was
in it or
fucked up.
whatever.
Yeah.
Great game. Really amazing performances. And it was another one. If you don't know her story, which is possible, it's like Gone Home. Don't know anything about it. Just jump in
go
and
into
play.
it.
Because that's what we did. Everyone was talking about it. We sat down and they started up and you're at a computer terminal.
Yeah.
In first person. I was like, what the fuck is this? And you start piecing it together and those like, wait, search this. Holy shit. Oh my God. Do this. Da da da. Like, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that game. I mean, obviously, for selfish reasons, I hope it gets ported to consoles so you could do it. It won't because it's keyboards and everything else. So everyone should just go play it on PC. It was that much fun.
I was shocked to see it win so big at the Game Awards.
I mean,
And I think that's a good sign for it because, there's certain games that, we have a lot of friends in the industry.
Right.
So when something happens, you know about it pretty instantly
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everyone's tweeting like, you got to play Gone Home. This was one of those things. You got to play this. Oh, I'm loving this right now, whatever. But it's like, there's that weekend. And if you miss that weekend, you never hear about it again because people are on to the next thing. And to see this game, like I haven't heard about it since, everyone was talking about it. You're like, we got to do a Let's Play. Let's do this. Then it kind of went silent.
Yeah.
Didn't hear anything about it. And all of a sudden it is winning shit. I'm like, that's great for that. Like,
Yeah.
same thing with Gone Home, where it's like, I feel like it did have that moment of conversation and then it dropped off, but then eventually got to the
Awards and
mainstream
stuff,
because
yeah.
of the awards and stuff. So,
No, yeah, her story was great. I highly, highly recommend it.
yeah. And then Emily is away. My God.
You want to talk about like I'm doing a piece for Game Informer and for Giant Bomb of my top 10 games, and where Emily is away lands on it, and I'm sure it'll be in the same spot when we do our video next or 2 weeks.
2 weeks from now, yeah.
Like totally, man. I could not believe how high that ranked because it is one of those things where it's a short game. Our Let's Play's 50 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's with us hemming and hawing and being idiots.
And
but it's like
replaying it too.
It's all realistic of us hemming and hawing and like such a trip.
It got
You know what I mean?
emotion out of us.
What I kept talking about, and when I talk to people about Emily is Away, is the fact that it's like you have to understand sitting there and playing that game in my spare bedroom for Kind of Funny with Tim next to me or whatever. Fuck that. Like in my head, I am at my desk freshman year at Mizzou with my huge Toshiba, looking out at this. Like it's all right there because this was life. This was it, where you leave these people and you then start talking to them through AIM messaging and like picking the right buddy icon and then picking the right response and all this stuff. And like the way you and I sat back and like, well, what are we saying? What do we do? And
well, what's funny is like you say that like you're not in this room, you're by yourself, whatever. To me, it's not even by yourself. Like those memories are having someone next to you. And it's like, what should I say? What should I say?
Yeah.
And you overthink it and like talk it over and like rewrite it 10 times. Like, oh, that game. It did something.
Yeah,
man.
like
and
emotional.
I'm so
man.
happy that I recently looked at the numbers for it. Like the Let's Play is over 50,000 views, which puts it in the upper echelon of our Let's Plays.
That's awesome because it didn't. When it first came out, it wasn't moving numbers, and I was like, guys, like, I'm not even talking about our performance. Like, you need to see this game if you're ever gonna play this game.
And I love that. I love that it's like it's. I want Kind of Funny to be known for that type of stuff. It's for those moments of it's like we genuinely enjoy this.
Right.
It reminds me of your Batman v Superman reaction.
Sure.
Like, who gives a shit what everyone else thinks? Like, you genuinely love this thing.
Right.
And I just it's great. Emily is Away. Highly recommend it.
Do it.
Definitely check that shit out. Is there any other PC games? I'm sure there's a bazillion, but I'm talking about that we really care
That we
about.
connected with.
Because it's out of our normal wheelhouse.
What was the one where we jacked the car off?
Oh.
Drive Shaft or no? That was Charlie's band.
Shift.
Find the jack. It was just jacking a car off. It was not everything. Shit. There was one that I had a momentary glance at. Jacking the car off is what I said, and that made me think of something else.
I remember the game
Party Hard. I enjoyed Party Hard. That's finally out or whatever, or Green Light or whatever.
Oh yeah. There was one. I don't think it's out yet, but we played the early version of it. That it was like a very sterile white stuff. And
super hot.
Super hot.
Super hot.
Awesome.
That game's
awesome
dope,
concept. Man. Really cool game. I love the Steam Greenlight stuff brings a lot of bad shit.
Yeah.
It's like mobile games. Like there's like so much bad.
Sure.
But then it does allow the like really cool random thing to come through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that. Do you have any?
No.
Yeah.
No. I don't think I played much. I played
Civ
Civilization 5. That's pretty much the only PC game I play.
And then for mobile, I do got to give a couple shout outs because I have put so much out. Like Peggle Blast, I talked about it all year. It came out at the tail end of last year, but I didn't start playing until this year.
Sure.
And there's a lot of problems with it just in terms of microtransactions and this and that. You've heard it all before.
You find you could hard boot your phone to get around it.
Yeah, but there was a new update they put out recently that gives you a lot more lives and gives you some shit. And man, I'm telling you, Peggle Blast is the best Peggle game that ever happened. Like when you don't have to deal with the bullshit.
Sure.
Like It's not too hard to get around it. But I mean, you saw me. Anytime we were on a trip, I was fucking going through that shit. And it's like, if you could platinum this game, I would platinum this game. It is just so much fun. There's so much to do. And, you know, Peggle's always been cool because it is just a simple brick breaking game. But then with the powers and stuff and just the stupid ass music that plays and like, it just, you know, adds a fresh twist to it. And Peggle Blast, I think, is ideal because it's on a mobile phone where you play vertically instead of the horizontal version that you normally do with Peggle. It gives you so much more real estate. It just changed the game up enough. And I'm like, shit, I'm fucking addicted to this. There was no game I was more addicted to than Peggle Blast. Lara Croft Go.
Oh, yeah.
Very fun, very cool. I liked that it felt like a more fully featured game, even though it was on mobile. My biggest problem was that it's a tease. It's such a tease at what could have been a really fun, challenging, difficult puzzle game. It ended up just being kind of a puzzle game where you play it and you're like, I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah, you always said this. It was never hard enough, right?
Yeah. You see the room, you have all the things, you look at it, you're like, all right, I need to move this thing there. So then it just kind of becomes about going through the motions of doing it.
Sure.
But it's still fun to do, and it's still cool to see. And I love the art style of it. I love the music, and just the visuals are just really, really engaging. And it's a fun Lara Croft game. Like, it reminded me a lot of the old Tomb Raider games. And, you know, we saw we had them on the panel in PAX Prime. Yeah. And they're talking about how we made a game that was what we remember Tomb Raider being. And it's like, that really is this.
Nice.
Like, it's much better than the original Tomb Raider games. Yeah. Yeah, there is many of them jumping around. Pac-Man 256. Did you play it?
No. I heard good things.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing, which is kind of like, it's just Pac-Man, but back in the day, Pac-Man, the 256 level, when you got there was like a glitch where everything would start glitching, and they're like, let's make a fucking game out of that. And it kind of just became this thing where it's an endless scrolling Pac-Man game where you just kind of keep having to go up as the bottom of the screen kind of just rises with this like glitches and shit. And it's just a score attack thing, and like it's randomly generated, and it's fun. Pac-Man, just like techno music, just blaring and shit. And it's definitely a playing game for me. I enjoy that. And the one that doesn't get talked about enough is Horizon Chase. You like Cruising USA, and I don't know why you wouldn't. This is the game for you. It just takes that stupid arcadey racing from the 90s thing where it's just like you just go and you perfectly drift around everything without having any skill at all.
Sure.
Really, you just hold it, you just go, and then it's left and right, and it just kind of like auto does it. But it's addicting, and it's fun, and there's the stupid like dancing girls at the end and stuff, and it's exactly.
Now we know why Tim likes it.
Oh yeah, I'm all into it. But yeah, the soundtracks are great and everything. It's very 90s. It's very Tim. I'm a big fan of that. Those are my mobile games.
Tim's Mobile Game Shack.
Yeah, gotta give him the shout outs.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 2015.
Whoa,
man.
Hey, man. Danky Arnhem nugs.
Yeah, man, you got them dank Arnhem nugs.
What are your favorite games 2015? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure you come back next week where we will be predicting 2016. It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a lot of fun. One day, I predict that I'm going to get that fucking championship.
I'm never letting it go.
It's going to happen.
Toadstool Tour is the next one,
Oh
so
my
start
God.
fucking practicing.
Oh, shit.
You bitch.
Yep. Thank you so much for everything. Till next time.